What if Goku get a part in experiment on Saiyan secrets? Just a day, just an ordinary day. No good science experiments, no more lab rats, and no more testing of the outer being. Ever since his lab was destroyed by the public and by the FBI, the great scientist known as the wonder of many discoveries was out of business. He needed a new experiment to continue his wonderful studies. He needed someone or something to experiment and he would be known for his wonderful studies. Sadly though, this great scientist died before he would know the great world of the planet Earth and the Saiyans that protected it. But not all stories have a sad ending like that. He had a son and his son would follow his footsteps. Still on the search for an experiment, the son of the scientist would fulfill his father's dream. He watched every person, every animal and every living thing on the entire planet, looking for that right experiment to test on. He finally found the right lab rat, just getting to it would be easier said than done. He needed more information before he chose his rat. The only way to get the information he needed was to ask to follow the person or thing and capture it with his 2 hands. And that's what you get for trying to steal jewelry on a Sunday, Great Saiyan said, handing the burglar to the cops. Now I must be off to stop wrong and make it right, to make evil beings nicer, and to stop people like you from ever doing something like this again. I am the right of the wrong, leader of the innocent, proctor of the people, champion of justice, watcher of the town, solver of the crimes, quick moves to save. Saiyaman, Saiyaman 2 shouted. Make it short. We have to get back. I'm almost done, Saiyaman said with a whine. I was about to do the best part. Then finish it. I was going to. Now where did I leave off? Oh yeah. I am the great Saiyaman. With a few Jinyu poses and Sailor Moon twirls, Saiyaman flew off with his partner flying close behind him. Saiyaman 2 sighed as she flew behind Saiyaman and hit the watch on her wrist. Ever hear of short and sweet Gohan? Videl shouted trying to catch up with him. Do you always have to make your entrance and exiting a long speech to bore the dead? I'm just trying new things, Gohan said hitting his watch and going back to his normal school clothing attire. You know, something to entertain the people. How about stopping the crime and then fly away when you're done? Now who wants that kind of boring stuff? People like to be entertained. Not by your boring speeches Saiyaman, Videl shouted finally catching up with Gohan. You don't have to be mean Videl, Gohan said a bit upset. He stuck his nose up in the air. You're just jealous because I can do many things that you can't do. Apparently speeches are one thing that I can do that you can't do. I have my low points. And I have my high points. Meanie. The two continued their talking and landed on the school roof. They quickly made it down the steps and to their class in a bit of a hurry. Videl went in the class first followed by Gohan. Both made it in their seats before the bell rung to start the new class. Sharpener rolled his eyes and Arasia laughed with Videl about something. Gohan pulled out his book and was ready for class. School ended and Gohan flew back home on Nimbus. He was reading a book and trusted Nimbus to fly him straight home. Nimbus landed in front of the lawn, but Gohan did not get off. He was still into the book and didn't realize that he was home or that the Nimbus stopped for that matter. Kai stopped doing her laundry and looked at her son. Goku and Goten were hanging up clothes and also spotted Gohan with his nose in the book. The only movement that Gohan made was when he turned the page in his book. And I wanted to be like him when I grow up, Goten said as he stuck out his tongue. Reading is for sissies. How can Gohan enjoy that stuff? Well, when you first learned how to talk then reading was fun, Goku said hanging up a sheet. Gohan always enjoyed reading just like you enjoy training. Reading is good for you anyway. My favorite book will always be The Call of the Wild. You actually read? Kai asked as a sheet fell out of her hands. When did you read that? Gohan let me read it. Gohan let you read? Kai, I'm not that brain dead. I know my ABCs and 123s. I'm old enough to read a novel with big words and sentences that I may not understand. The dog was not a cartoon character, Gohan said walking up to his family. Nimbus flew away and Gohan had his book under his arm. They say that stories can take you places that you have never gone before. It's true. Books are for nerds, Goten said hanging up a pair of boxers. I read books. Does that mean I'm a nerd? Yep. Goten. It's okay mom, Gohan said with a smile on his face. Goten would learn that terminology will materialize more on his studies than on television and that the humanity is like a proposition and the answers are inflexible, so when he tries to ascertain verb, then the answers are never in attendance. It's exceptional to distinguish comprehension and you can seize the answers without looking it up in a lexicon. You're too smart for your own good, Goku said with a laugh. But one day Goten will embrace on the information that your mother has eligible on you. Goten and Kai blinked. Kai put her hand on his forehead and studied his face. My husband does not know those words, she said putting her hand to the side. Where is my husband? Come on Kai. With all the studying that you put Gohan through I had to catch up on a few words that you taught him. I may not know what they mean, but they are fun to say. Enough with the big words that I do not understand, Goten said holding his head. I'm getting a headache and my stomach is growling. Everyone laughed at Goten's comment and actions. They all went into the house when the laundry was done and hanging up. Goku looked out the window and squinted. A shadow quickly disappeared and Goku looked once again. He shrugged his shoulders and assumed that it was an animal or something related to that. But with that big of a shadow. I'll be back, Goku said opening the door. I think I left something outside while doing some laundry. Don't use that excuse, Kai said waving a spatula in her hand. You want to see your animal friends and have a baby. You caught me, Goku said with a smile. I'll be back before dinner. That's the only time that you're not late, Goku. Can we come? Gohan asked. You have studying, Kai said putting the spatula in Gohan's face. She lowered it down to Goten. And you have to get washed up and help me set the table. Yes ma'am, the two said. Goku gave a smile to his sons and headed out to where he saw the shadow. He looked around the trees and behind the bushes. The person couldn't be too far since Goku saw him about 2 minutes ago. Goku was about to give up hope, but he saw a shadow around a tree. Afraid what the person may do to his family, Goku stepped up to the shadow and spoke. Who are you? Goku asked, as his voice was serious. And what are you doing hanging around here? The shadow only moved an inch. Just looking. The voice was harsh and cold. The figure was small in height but wide around the edges. Goku couldn't see a face since the shadows were hiding it. Looking for what? Goku finally asked. If you're looking for a town then it's over there in the south. It's about a mile away, but if you take a shortcut that way then it will take less time. Goku pointed past the stranger, but the shadow didn't move. Goku put his hand down and tried his best to get a better look at the shadow. Tell me, the harsh voice said. What's one part of life that's precious to you and what would you do if it was gone? Stay away from my family. You are not human and nor are your sons. They are, as you call them, half-breeds. What do you want with my sons? Goku growled. He made a fist in his hand. Stay away from my sons and my wife. You have no business here. I have business, the shadow said with a whisper. What power do you hold to save the world and how does it affect the people around you? Are you really powerful to protect the ones you love? The power I hold is to protect the ones I love. To protect them, what do you do? I do whatever I can, Goku answered relaxing for a bit. Any more questions or do I have to ask them? To protect the ones you love you do whatever you can to save them, even if it means your life. But does losing your life really protect the ones you love? Goku stood there confused. He didn't understand what the person was saying. Even dead I still protect the ones I love close to me, Goku said. Now I have a question to ask you. Who are you? Answer one more question and I'll tell you who I am. That's not fair. Life's not fair, Saiyan, the stranger hissed. Now, answer my question. Then speak your question. Who did you hurt? What do you mean? Goku asked. I don't know what you're talking about. The warning, Saiyan. Then the shadow disappeared. Goku tried to grab the stranger, but grabbed a tree branch instead. Who did he hurt and what did he mean by a warning? Still confused of what just happened, Goku walked back home with the question still in his head. Goku didn't tell anyone about his encounter with the stranger. He kept that to himself and he was trying to figure out what the stranger had asked him. He didn't want to tell anyone because he was afraid to hurt them. But should he tell him? Could his family and friends be in danger by the stranger's words? You seem dazed, Kai said as she crawled into bed. You didn't even have your usual helping of food and you were quiet for some time. Is something wrong? Nothing, Goku said not making any eye contact to his wife. I ever hurt anyone? Kai looked at Goku and then at the sheets. You hurt me when you left for those 7 years, Kai admitted. But. So I did hurt someone, Goku mumbled as he leaned his back on the wall. But what's the warning? Goku? I need a snack. Goku flipped the covers and got out of bed. Kai was about to follow, but then she realized that Goku needed to decide something on his own. Maybe she shouldn't have told him that he hurt her when he was gone. Maybe that's what he's thinking about. Whatever it was, Goku needed some time alone. But Kai couldn't tell him whom he hurt the most. Goku walked down the stairs and saw Gohan sitting at the kitchen still reading his book. Gohan did love to read, but it was almost midnight and he was up. He didn't notice his father's presence since his nose was in the book. When Goku pulled out a chair next to Gohan, that's when he realized his father was there. What are you doing up? Gohan asked, putting the book on the table. You don't get up for your snack until 2. Did you and mom fight? I just can't sleep, Goku said with a sigh. Your mother and I aren't fighting. What are you doing up past your bedtime? I wanted to read and Goten can't sleep in the light, so I decided to read at the kitchen table. I can't put this book down and I'm close to finishing it. What is it about? It's a book I found deep in the library, Gohan said, putting a bookmark in the book and closing it. It's about a scientist trying to find the right subject to prove to the world what science really is and how important it is. He uses every animal and tries to make them something that they once were. He also tried to make them something that they were not. He used the animals for energy that wasn't needed by electricity. Like a mouse on a wheel, Goku said, trying to think of a good example. Try putting a dog in a small box and draining its energy for power and turning into a monster. Some animals even killed themselves because of what they have become. The guy was crazy. The book does sound interesting. Who is it written by? His son, Gohan answered. His father died and he's trying to follow in his father's footsteps to make him proud. It's sick really. And you're still reading it, Goku asked. It's going to give you nightmares, Gohan. I'm not 6 anymore, Dad, I'm 18. I can't get nightmares from reading stories or watching a scary movie. I grew up. You've missed that, remember? Gohan. I'm going to bed now, Gohan said, getting up from his seat and grabbing his book. I'll see you in the morning. Night. Gohan walked towards his door and Goku stood up from his seat. Gohan, wait, Goku said. Gohan stopped walking and faced his dad. I'm over it, Dad, Gohan said, faking a smile. It doesn't hurt anymore. Who did you hurt? What do you mean, Goku asked. I don't know what you're talking about. The warning Saiyan. Goku watched as Gohan walked into his room. Goku thought of what the stranger said earlier that day. From what Goku has learned today, he has hurt his wife and son. He probably hurt Goten too. Goku knew who he hurt, his family. Maybe being dead for those 7 years was a bad idea. Goku sighed and pushed his chair in. He made his way to Gohan's room and noticed that the light was off. Goku slightly opened the door and saw Goten spread all over the bed. It brought a smile to his face, but it was quickly erased when he saw Gohan's empty bed and the window open. Goku grabbed a coat out of the closet and headed out the front door. He saw Gohan walking out towards the woods and saw a familiar shadow. Like Goku, Gohan followed the shadow. With no second to spare, Goku quickly followed his son in the woods. It didn't take long for Goku to find Gohan. The shadow wasn't around and Gohan stood there in the middle of the woods. Gohan, Goku cried, catching his breath. Don't ever try to walk away like that without telling me. I saw something, Gohan said with his back towards Goku. What did you see? A shadow, Gohan answered, facing Goku. I could have sworn I saw a shadow in front of our house. It was small but rather round in size. I think you read too many books, Gohan, Goku said, waving a finger in the air. You'll probably just seeing things because you are tired. Goku did not want Gohan to know about the strange shadow just yet. He needed more information and needed to figure out the warning that the stranger had said. All Goku needed to do was distract Gohan away from the shadow until it was time to tell him and the rest of the Z gang. You're probably right, Dad, Gohan said with a sigh. I do tend to see things when I'm not fully awake. Let's just head back home before your mother sees that we're not home and she calls the police because her husband and son are missing. Gohan merely nodded in agreement and walked ahead of Goku. Goku followed and made a quick glance back to the woods. Gohan noticed and raised an eyebrow. You know something, don't you? Goku spun around and noticed that Gohan didn't walk as far ahead as Goku thought he did. He hoped that Gohan wouldn't notice the quick glance, but Saiyan eyes are stronger than the regular human. Gohan was half, but it did improve his vision for the time. I don't know what you're talking about, Goku said, acting stupid. It was an everyday thing, you know. I just looked back to make sure someone wasn't in the woods. Can't be too careful, you know. Your actions prove you wrong with your words, Gohan said. Your lips may move, but your body is saying the opposite. What gave you that idea? Your eyes kept on looking back and your body tended to shake when I mentioned that something was there. Your sentences are shaky too. Alright, Goku said with a sigh. You kind of scared me when you said that there was a shadow in the woods. How did you know? My book, Gohan said as he showed his book to his father. The son wrote about how his father's failures reflected on his words and body language. He knew that his father was failing when he didn't talk much and he always changed the subject whenever the son mentioned the perfect experiment. Who is the son, Gohan? He wanted to remain unheard of. He's still looking for the perfect subject. What a goal. Scary in my opinion, Gohan said as the two walked out of the woods. It could be anybody on this planet. The guy can turn a cat into a freak within days. So this book is real? Goku asked as they stopped in front of the door. Gohan turned red in the cheeks. Actually, Gohan said, scratching his arm. It's science fiction. Goku blinked. And you believe it? There are aliens that do not live on this planet. You, Frieza, Vegeta, and other life forms like Namex. I always thought there was no such thing. A lot of people believe that aliens exists, but it's hard to believe that someone is looking for the perfect experiment to test on. How long does a guy have to look? He could test on a cockroach and the guy could learn why they can live for a while when cut in half. You're right. It is science fiction. See the fiction in that, Gohan. It means not real. Now let's get back inside the house. We can crawl back through your window since I locked the door on my way out. Yeah. Goku frowned. Gohan actually believed in something and he shot it down. It was fiction, not real, and Gohan believed such a lie. It was just like chairs that fly, it didn't exist. Gohan just had to learn that some things aren't real in life. A scientist looking for an experiment that was perfect wasn't possible. At least, Goku thought that. I'm off to school. Remember Gohan, it's a half a day and I want you back when school gets out. We have some spring cleaning to do all next week and we're staring with your room. Spring break means a break, Gohan whined. I need a break from school. You are getting a break, Kai said with a huff. Just not a break from your chores. Gohan sighed and took off. Kai gave a satisfying smile as she cleaned up the dishes from the day's breakfast. Goten helped by getting the dirty dishes off the table and putting them on the counter. Goku washed the table and also dry some of the dishes for his morning chore. Goku hating doing the dishes but with Kai and her short temper, it was one battle Goku could never win. If Gohan wasn't late to school, then maybe he could help with the dishes Gohan thought. Is he always late for school and breakfast in the morning? Less thinking and more drying, Kai yelled. I want those dishes to be dry and not a speck of water on them Goku. Do you understand me? Yes honey, Goku said quickly drying. While doing the quick drying, Goku broke the dish and a voice could be heard in the 439 mountain area. Goku? What did you do to that dish? It wasn't cheap you know and now that's another dish to add to the broken dish club. Soon you're going to be added to the broken husband club. Then you heard another voice, milder than the other one. I'm sorry Kai. I guess I was scrubbing too hard. You see, sometimes I can't control my strength. The mild voice was cut off. You can't control your what? I guess if you can't control your strength then I guess you can't control what I'm about to do to you. Goten, go outside and play while mommy teaches daddy a lesson in washing the dishes. Okay mom. Thus the yelling, screaming, and a Saiyan being beaten by his mate occurred in the 439 mountain area. Goten found a frog and found it more interesting than the beating of his father. Hop little frog, hop. See you guys after the break, Gohan said with a wave. I plan to do some chores or else my mom will take away my eating privileges. Can't live without food, Videl commented as she shut her locker. I'm going on a business trip with my father for spring break. More boring speeches and news stories of how he beat Cell. I'll be home with my kid brother, Aracia said with disgust. He can be a major pain sometimes. I'll be checking out the ladies and hopes of one being with a sharpener said flexing his muscles. I'll just get the girl in the sack and I can show her true love. I thought you did that last year and still came out empty-handed, Aracia said. And a few slaps on the face, Videl added. It's going to be different this time, Sharpener cried. I won't just grab a girl by the arm and pull her into my love. You pulled her away from her boyfriend Sharpener, Gohan said with a laugh. You remember how that turned out. You didn't know me brains. But I do know what happened to you last year on spring break. You still have to stay at least 500 feet away from that girl and you still have 3 hours of service that you have to finish. Sharpener huffed as he walked away from the group. They started laughing at him and he wasn't going to take it. This year would be different for him. He'll get a girlfriend and not mess with any girl hanging out with a group of guys. It's not just the blonde girls that are real stupid. Look at Sharpener. Sharpener headed outside and noticed a figure near a tree. It was waving a finger telling Sharpener to come closer. Being the idiot that Sharpener was, he went over to the short stranger. May I ask you a question? The stranger asked. About one of your fellow peers. Videl is mine man, Sharpener cried pointing at himself. You can have any other girl in this school besides Videl. I don't mean the women. I am curious about a certain student with strange powers. Gohan. What do you need to know about him? Everything, the boy said in a harsh whisper. Dude, Sharpener said backing away. I don't like the way you sound. I have to go home now. Sharpener began to walk off, but the short stranger pushed him up against the wall and had a very long and sharp knife at hand. A hood covered over the stranger's face. He was small but quite powerful to even pin Sharpener up against the wall. You will tell me or else your life will end pal, the stranger hissed. Now tell me all you know about Dot. Big pointy object, Sharpener said with a shaky lip. Tell me. The knife came close to Sharpener's neck. He has powers, Sharpener cried. He can turn his hair from black to gold. He can form some powers and shoot it like a bomb and fly. He defeated Cell in the Cell games. I thought Hercule defeated Cell 7 years ago. He stole the credit for the win. Tell me more. Sharpener spoke nothing. The blade touched his neck. Tell me now. He's not human, Sharpener shouted. He's half human and half Saiyan and that's all I know. Please don't kill me. Half Saiyan, the stranger said as he pondered. He dropped Sharpener and smirked. You have helped me young man. Your reward will be your life. Now leave before I change my mind. Don't have to tell me twice." Sharpener quickly pushed himself off the ground and ran for dear life. The stranger smirked as he walked deep into the woods. "I think I found my perfect subject. This half-breed will be the perfect for my testing and useful with his powers. Being half Saiyan and human is a breed of its own. Such powers this Gohan can hold. The power of a Saiyan in the race of a human. I wonder what kind of testing I should do on him. I wonder what the Saiyan blood can block that the human blood can't. Maybe the Saiyan blood can block all the effects and protect the body from harm. Maybe the human blood can absorb the effects and use it to power up the Saiyan blood. Such experiments I can do to my subject. Father, I think we found the perfect experiment." "I'm home," Gohan cried as he entered his house. "Hey honey," Kai said. "Guess what you're doing on your first day of spring break?" "Homework." "You have homework?" "The project for science. It will take a whole week to do and it will take all day to complete it. I have to take many trips to the library to find the research I need." "What kind of research do you have to do?" "Research," Gohan said blinking. He looked at his book and back at his mother. "I have to figure out what scientists test on mice and animals and on humans also. He wants to know the side effects on each one and what happens when it mixes with the wrong subject. For example, the cure for the flu. What effect does it have on mice and why does it help humans? Why can't it help other animal? Why does it work on humans and not on other mammals like our relative the chimpanzees?" "How much do you have to do?" Kai asked. 10 of each," Gohan said with a sigh. He looked up at his mother. "It counts as 3 test grades for each class. The classes are humans, mice, and an animal of my choosing. It will take all week to complete and I need those 3 test grades to pass science. I never want to be a failure to you, Mom. I need to pass so I can be a scholar, so I can make you proud, Mommy." Kai's eyes were full of water and a few tears escaped her eyes. "Oh Gohan," she said, drying her eyes with a napkin. "I'm so happy that you want to make your mother proud. I'm so glad that you are dedicated to your school work and working on your dream as a scholar." She sniffed. "But that doesn't mean you can lie to your mother in hopes to escape the spring cleaning. You have just doubled your chores for next week, young man." Gohan's mouth dropped. "How did you know?" Gohan asked as his face showed his shock. "What did you do, call my school and ask my teachers what kind of work I have?" "I knew you were trying to get out of cleaning," Kai said with a winning smirk. "You also have dish duty for the next 3 weeks, mowing the lawn and trimming the hedges, babysitting your brother for a day, cleaning your room using no powers to help, picking up the branches that have fallen on the ground, raking the leaves that you didn't rake the fall of last year. Do I have to go on?" "No," Gohan said looking at the ground. "I understand. Good. You wouldn't have to do all that if you didn't lie to me. I would have taken out the babysitting of Goten, but you just had to add that science project." Kai smiled and patted Gohan on the shoulder. Gohan slouched his shoulders and slowly walked towards his bedroom. Goku and Goten watched as Gohan walked in his room and cried. "That's harsh," Goku said, feeling rather bad for Gohan. He almost got away with it if he just didn't say mommy. "That's how you know that Gohan's lying," Goten said with a frown. "And he has to babysit me too. He's a boring babysitter too. Let's just hope you two keep the house intact this time." "You just had to see Goten's dad, didn't you? You wanted to see his brats." "I didn't mention chores. I didn't say chores. I said Kakarot's mate was a. You guys always have to fight every time we do spring cleaning," Gohan asked, raking some leaves in a pile. "It's his fault," Trunks said, putting the leaves in a trash can. "If he didn't make fun of Goten's mom then maybe we wouldn't have to do double chores." "That was mean, Vegeta," Goku said, dragging an empty trash can from the woods. "And I got blamed for it." "Mom's still mad," Goten said, coming out of the house. "She said we better have this done in 5 minutes or else she won't give us a break." "We've been working for 2 hours straight and it's hot out," Trunks cried, knocking down the trash can filled with leaves. "Let's go, Goten. We can bust out of here." "Bulma will be pretty mad and my mom will be furious," Gohan said, re-raking the leaves that fell out of the trash can. "I wouldn't leave if I were you. We're kids, Gohan. We need a break once in a while. I didn't get many breaks when I was your age. And look how you turned out, a human nerd. Let's go, Goten. The last thing I want to be is a Gohan." Trunks walked off and Goten quickly followed. Gohan shook his head as he made a pile and put it in the trash can. It was soon full and Goku went to go grab it. Gohan pulled the trash can away and walked in the woods. "I'll get it this time," Gohan said as he slowly disappeared into the woods. "You can rake the leaves. When I return, Mom and Bulma will know about the 2 that took off." "You're not the tattle-tailing type, Gohan," Goku said, grabbing the rake. "Are you trying to get your little brother in trouble? I'm not going to be suffering alone." "Good boy," Vegeta said, clapping his hands. "It's about time those 2 learn a lesson. I will get them back for putting itching powder in my Saiyan armor." "I learned from the best, Vegeta," Gohan cried. It's about time I get some respect. I was talking about my mother. Humph. You have to admit Vegeta, Gohan's growing up after the fight with Buu, Goku said, raking leaves into a pile. He's stronger, smarter, and he's getting back at Goten and Trunks. He's still not stronger than me, Vegeta said, picking up a stick. Why do I get stuck with the stick duty? I would rather be dragging the dead leaves in the back of the woods. Gohan won't mind switching. Maybe if I hold a Kai blast to his face, then maybe he could drag the leaves and the sticks to the woods. I don't know, Vegeta. Last time I asked him to do that he said he would do it for 20 zeni. Did you use the Kai blast? No. Then there's your problem. Goku stuck out his tongue and continued to rake. Shouldn't Gohan be back by now? Goku asked as he leaned the rake on the tree. It doesn't take that long to drag them back. Maybe he ran off like the other two, Vegeta said, throwing a stick in another trash can. He would have returned it before he left. Do you think something happened to him? Birds will fly all over the place and you would get a bad feeling about it. I do have a bad feeling, Vegeta. Then maybe it's a warning. The warning, Saiyan. Goku froze and quickly ran in the woods. Vegeta soon followed behind Goku and started yelling at him for leaving him without warning. Goku ignored the yelling and found the pile of leaves that they made from the start. For crying out loud, Vegeta shouted. Give a warning or something. You can't just take off and leave me to do the chores. Sorry, Vegeta, Goku apologized. But look. Goku pointed to the trash can still filled with leaves. Vegeta saw it and shrugged his shoulders. He dropped it and ran. So what? Gohan always finishes the job when he starts it, Goku said. We have to find him. I'm telling you, Kakarot, your brat ran off like the other two. Well, I'm going to look around and try to find him. You go get Goten and Trunks and get them safely inside. Do you know something I don't? Yes, now find them. Goku took off in a direction and Vegeta stood there. He flew his hands up in the air and pulled down two Saiyans on a branch. The two squirmed in his grasp and tried to get loose. Let go, Trunks said. How did you know we were up here? I can smell you, Vegeta said, dropping the two on the ground. And the fact that both of you can't keep your mouths shut. Do you know where your brother went, brat? How are we supposed to know? Trunks cried, trying to get out of Vegeta's grasp. We didn't see him. So why were you two up there? We saw something strange, Goten said, rubbing his red. It was some sort of shadow. I think Gohan saw it too and followed it. I saw him drop the leaves and follow a shadow. You saw something, Trunks said. That's a first. Well, you didn't see anything. You were blocking my way. Nuha. Yaha. Nuha. Yaha. Both of you knock it off, Vegeta shouted. Get back to the house and tell your mothers that Gohan flew off and your father is getting him back to do the chores. I went with him and when we come back with the brat I will make your two lives a living hell. The two nodded and quickly ran off. Vegeta took off in Goku's direction, mumbling to himself. Goku had to stop and take a few deep breaths. He was deep in the woods and the search for Gohan was getting hard. There was no trace of his Kai or even a thing of clothing left behind. Goku was worried. Taking a few steps further into the woods, Goku could only think that maybe Gohan went to see a few friends or just took off so he didn't have to do the needed chores. Gohan would at least tell his father about his departure. Kai would figure it out later, but Goku would never tell on Gohan. Gohan, Goku shouted through the woods. Enough of this game, Gohan. I know you hate doing chores, but it's only for a week. Your mother will kill me, Gohan. The awkward silence filled the forest and Goku continued his search. He did hear a few twigs snap behind him, so he took a look. He saw a figure and dove straight for it. Gohan, Goku cried happily as he grabbed Gohan in a hug. You sure did scare me there, son. Please don't do anything like that ever again. You shrunk, Gohan. That's because I'm not Gohan, and would you please let go of me? Goku looked down in his arms and found the one and only Prince Vegeta. He moved his arms out of Vegeta's way and placed one hand behind his back and laughed. Sorry about that, Vegeta, Goku apologized. I thought you were Gohan. Do I look like a dork to you? Vegeta cried, wiping the Goku off of him. First cheek to cheek and now hug to hug. I'm getting too soft on this planet. So I'm guessing you haven't found the brat yet. I'm still searching. One of the brats said that they saw Gohan drop the budget and go into these woods. He probably didn't go far since you ran and I had to catch up. Goten also said that they saw a shadow and Gohan went to follow it. They saw a shadow, Goku questioned as a struck of fear plastered on his face. He probably followed one of his animal friends, Vegeta said with a huff. I hate nature. Speaking of nature, where the hell are we? The shadow, Goku mumbled to himself. The warning. It was talking about one that I heard. What in Kami's name are you talking about? A few nights ago I saw a shadow in the woods, Goku explained. I followed it and found it somewhere in the woods. He asked who I heard and gave a warning. I know I heard my family and friends when I left, but I don't know what he meant by the warning. Gohan saw him last night and I told him it was just the books he was reading. He reads too much, Vegeta commented. So what you are trying to say is that there's this shadow in the woods, gave you a warning, and Gohan went to find it. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. I guess, at least my idea, is that this shadow that gave you a warning about someone you hurt was a warning about Gohan. The warning he gave you was about that brat and he probably made Gohan follow him so he could capture him and lead you into a trap. Once he has Gohan, he will torture him in many ways until you come around and rescue him. Once you succeed in that, with my help, Gohan will be scarred for life and getting him back to his senses will take longer than expected. That's just my guess. What's the point in that happening? Goku said with a bit of laughter in his voice. Maybe Gohan got captured, but with his strength and powers, he would be the one making the enemy crying home to his mother. What gave you that idea, Vegeta? Your brat, Vegeta said. He was telling me about this book he was reading and how the person likes to torture people and animals. I know, maybe that person kidnapped Gohan and using him as an experiment in his testing. Goku laughed. Oh please Vegeta. That book is science fiction. It's not real. I can't believe that you and Gohan believe in that stupid book. Gohan I can understand, but you? That's like saying that I only eat 3 meals a day. Goku continued to laugh and Vegeta got a bit frustrated. He turned to leave, but saw a strange shadow lurking in the woods. He tugged on Goku's shirt and he too noticed the strange shadow. Goku recognized it and gasped. So we meet again, the shadow hissed. We keep meeting in such a strange place. I like the woods. So quiet and lots of animals running around looking for food. It's you, Goku cried as he pointed at the shadow. Who are you? I hate questions, the shadow said. Shouldn't you be asking important questions instead of my name? How about where your son is, eh? I'm sure that's more important than my name. Where is my son? I gave you a warning Saiyan and I only give one warning to one person. I gave you your warning and you went to ignore it. Do you know where his son is or not? Vegeta cried making a fist. If he's hurt then I will be the one to blame. I do not want to be blamed for a person I have no feelings for. I took away someone's feelings before, the shadow said. Quite a good story to say. You should read it. I just want to know where my son is, Goku said. If you don't tell me then things will have to get violent. I made a butterfly go violent. You should read it one day. Why are you talking about reading when all I want to know is where my son is? Here. The shadow threw Gohan's book to Goku. You should read all about it. You might learn something. I even autographed in the front for you. This is Gohan's book, Goku said. I even left his bookmark at his place. I bid farewell my dear Saiyans. Where's Gohan? Goku shouted. My experiments should not be around their own kind, the shadow said as he lifted up his hood. It distracts them from my testing. The hooded shadow looked really ugly. He was short and had pale green skin. His yellow eyes glowed in the darkness and his pointy ears were angled. He had a toothless grin and had no nose whatsoever. Gross, Vegeta said as he inched back. You look like something in a horror movie. I got so bored on my testing that the only way to keep active was to test myself, the strange ugly troll said. And you can refer to me as Dr. Ijigeki. Well, lots of testing to do on my subject. Do care to come by and watch your son suffer? Dr. Ijigeki disappeared deep in the woods. Look at it this way, Vegeta said with his arms folded. The worst thing that can happen to Gohan is that he looks like that freak. There's no way that I'm standing next to him in a crowd. Gohan will not be a dork and Saiyaman would never exist. Gohan would run away, become boss, and be one hell of a badass. Goku wouldn't die at the Cell Games, Kai would not be my mother. Gohan wearing leather. Come on, it's better than the uniform he wears to school. Tattoos, everyone loves tattoos. Vegeta will be known as Veggie-chan, just so everyone can piss him off. Trunks would be gay. Sorry Trunks fans but purple hair. Hello. There would not be a list. Insert your sentence here because I ran out of sentences. Well that's about it. Anyway, I still don't own but I can dream. My father and I tested many subjects on many things. He has not found the right subject to test and died before he could find the perfect one. I followed in his footsteps to find the perfect subject to experiment on. Animals of all kinds did not fit the category, other scientists were already testing humans with disabilities and the planet with all of its beings were all the same. The perfect subject needed to be human and yet animal at the same time. A mixture of human genes and dog, even cat-like, genes were needed. Man did not want to go that far in experimenting. They were afraid of what may happen and were afraid to take that risk. I took that risk and found it near impossible to get the sperm and egg to produce a being. I tried every animal I knew of and mixed it with a human gene. Monkeys were close, but they died before it grew. To look for something that's found was nearly impossible to make not one. Once I find the perfect experiment to test on it will be a strong being to destroy the planet. Humans will no longer laugh at my father and his dreams and will soon bow to me for life. I will find the perfect experiment even if it means myself. Bulma put down the book and sighed. Goku grabbed the book and looked at the chapter that Gohan was on. He read it out loud just like Bulma did with the introduction. The first test for my subjects is a painkiller. It brings pain all in their body, and rarely few survive it. Many subjects kill themselves to stop the pain, but others will let it through. This pain can last up to hours or days. Humans kill themselves within the few minutes, and animals tend to eat itself alive to rend of the pain. That's awful, Kai Kai said as she placed her hands over her mouth. How can someone do that to other people and animals? That's so cruel. That's why his father never made it in the real world, Vegeta said leaning back on his chair. He was insane and his son carried that. Is there more in that page, Kakarot? Yeah, Goku said looking for his spot. The first subject I tested on was the dead body of my father. That's just plain gross, Krillin said holding his stomach. You're interrupting the story, Krillin, 18 said. Please continue, Goku. Goku gave a nod and read on. Even though my father's soul was left from the world, his body still was here. I brought him back to life by giving him different kinds of hearts to live on. He had one of a human I found raped in the woods. He also had one of a bear. He was only alive to feel pain before dying for the last time. I love seeing others in pain, even my own father. He pulled out the heart of the bear and lay dead. Blood poured all over and I fed it to some test rats. They enjoyed the taste of human blood mixed with bear. I fed it to them every day until they died. They were addicted to it and died if they didn't receive it. My father's body laid there with the blood mixture and soon began to rot. I watched as animals fed on my father's body and watched as some went insane. Before my father's death, he injected himself with every no drug possible. He finally killed himself when he had too many drugs in his system. From what I have watched, he had over 100 drugs in his body in less than an hour. Oh, please stop reading, Kai Kai cried. How can Gohan read these kind of books? Maybe he's interested in those kind of books, Vegeta said. It does sound freaky. The guy doesn't even know good grammar. Kai Kai is right though, Bulma said cutting in. Why would Gohan read those stories anyway? I thought he only liked the adventure books. That's all I see him read. Maybe there's more to Gohan than we know about, Goku said flipping through some of the pages. He probably likes horror movies too. His whole life is a horror movie, Piccolo said maintaining his distance from the group. From day one of his life to right now. I hate those books, Bulma said. I always get nightmares from seeing a movie or reading the book. Hey, where did Dr. Aigeki take Gohan? Goku and Vegeta both stared at each other. Goku then quickly skimmed through the books on hopes for a place where the doctor lived. Vegeta grew impatient and grabbed the book right out of Goku's hands. He too skimmed through it and found nothing. Getting rather frustrated, Vegeta threw the book in the fireplace. The people around him panicked and tried to grab the book out of the fire. The book was in ashes and everybody gave an evil glare to Vegeta. Our only hope to find Gohan was in that book, Kai Kai shouted. How dare you throw it in the fireplace? Well, excuse me for throwing away something that had no importance to us, Vegeta shouted back at Kai Kai. If Dr. Aigeki didn't write the book under his name, then what says that he would put where he lived? It was a library book, Kai Kai yelled. My son's reputation will be ruined when they found out that one of their books caught on fire. You ruined his library reputation and he won't be able to check out another book. It's a damn library book. It wasn't cheap. It's a book. My son's life is hanging in that book. We'll never know what that doctor will do to my son since you set it on flames. That book didn't have much information on Dr. Aigeki, Bulma said cutting in on the two. Gohan told me it said nothing about him except trying to find the perfect subject and following in his father's footsteps. Well, we have one page left, Goku said holding a ripped out piece of paper in his hands. One side is the introduction and the other is his autograph. We already read the intro and his autograph won't help any. The guy eats his test rats for dinner. I feel no longer hungry, Krillin said with his hands still on his stomach. I'm not so sure if I'm that happy having that pizza we just had. You'll be fine, 18 said. Can anyone sense his Kai? I tried in the woods, but I couldn't find a trace, Goku said. When we thought he was dead it seemed that Supreme Kai took him to his planet, Piccolo said pushing himself off the wall. Do you think he went to a different planet and knew the instant transmission? I doubt, Goku said folding his arms. He has to live nearby. He hung around our house but disappeared whenever I got close. I don't think he's human. Everyone nodded. I hope he's okay, Kai Kai said clasping her hands together. I hope he can hold out for a while longer until we can find him. He could be going through so much pain right now, Krillin said. I hope that he's not going through a lot of pain. Be strong, Piccolo said looking at the ground. We'll find him soon. He's a Saiyan, he can go through pain. He'll be fine. I hope you're right, Goku said looking out the window. I hope you're right. But being right was wrong. Dr. Ijigaki watched as our favorite Demi-Saiyan screamed, clutching his head tight. He couldn't help but smile as he watched a teen bang himself up against the glass barrier that protected him. Gohan was trying to break free and get rid of the pain in his body. "Don't worry, my experiment," Dr. Ijigaki said with a smirk. "It will only be a few more hours, and then I'll add another injection for more entertainment. We'll see how long you last before I add the big stuff on you. Of course, the pain you are going through now is only the minor pain. You'll be screaming your head off when I add my father's D12 painkiller on you. Let's hope that the pain doesn't kill you." Dr. Ijigaki laughed as Gohan continued to scream. It was pure entertainment for the doctor to watch Gohan hit himself up against the glass that kept him tight. Gohan could break free, but the pain in his body was too much. Using his body as a battle ram, Gohan tried to break free. All attempts failed. "Explain this to me once again, Kakarot. You said that the crazy doctor lived near you because he hung around your house. We passed this tree for the 5th time today and Lapua Woods 10 times. He's not here." "I know he's around here somewhere," Goku said, pushing some branches out of the way and hitting Vegeta in the face. "He always hung around the house spying on Gohan." "He's a scientist," Vegeta said, getting hit by another branch. "He can probably teleport places by hitting his watch. Don't you watch the movies?" "They're just movies, Vegeta. It was just a book that brat was reading and it was true." Vegeta was hit by another branch. "Would you stop hitting me with the branches? I'm getting scratches all over my face." "Maybe you're right, Vegeta," Goku said, facing his friend. "Or maybe he has a giant rat that he uses for transportation and it's black." "Black? To blend in with the shadows. You have been watching too many movies, Kakarot. And the teleporting watch that takes him back to his lab is nothing from a movie. It's better than a big rat. A big black rat, Vegeta." "Whatever," Vegeta cried, walking in front of Goku. "Let me be the leader this time, and maybe we can find where the doctor took Gohan. The sooner we find that brat, the sooner I get to train in my gravity machine." "Well, be my guest," Goku said, sticking his nose up in the air. "Don't come crying to me for directions. You never gave any. You never asked." The two Saiyans continued to yell back and forth as they made their way in the woods. Piccolo and Krillin followed behind, not wanting to get in between the two yelling Saiyans. It was safer that way, much safer. Goten and Trunks were stuck at Capsule Corporation, since everyone was afraid that Dr. Ijigaki might take them captive also. After a full day of looking for the taken Demi-Saiyan and many scratches on Vegeta's face later, Goku and the others camped outside. There was no river to fish for or drink from, there were no animals to hunt, and poison ivy all over the place. Vegeta didn't know and was paying for it dearly. "I hate the outdoors," Vegeta shouted, scratching himself in a place not wanted to be scratched. "I wouldn't have used that leaf if I didn't know it was poison ivy." "Don't worry, Vegeta," Goku said, holding his stomach. "It won't itch if you don't scratch." "Man, I'm hungry." "We're all hungry, Kakarot. Tell us something we don't know." "Vegeta used poison ivy for toilet paper," Krillin said, adding his 2 cents. Vegeta hit Krillin in the back of the head and then sat back down in his seat. He tried not to scratch his butt. "No food and no bathroom is making us all cranky," Piccolo said as he meditated near a tree. "Let's just get a good night's rest and start early tomorrow. We may have hopes of finding food and water and hopefully Gohan." "Where are we going to sleep?" Goku said, looking around the area. "All we have is poison ivy and we can't sleep on that. The trees are bare and the ground is all muddy. This is not how I pictured camping." "Why is it so cold?" Krillin said as he shook. "It's supposed to be spring and not winter. I wish I brought a blanket." "I always come prepared," Vegeta said as he took a capsule out of his pocket. He hit the button and a portable house appeared in the woods. "This is only a one-person house and it's mine. If I see anyone trying to break into my house, I swear I will cause more pain than you can imagine." Vegeta went into his little house and slammed the door. They saw a light go on and peeked through the window. They saw Vegeta scratching and saw a table full of food. Goku had his face plastered on the window and drool appeared at the corner of his mouth. Krillin had the same face. Vegeta saw them and swung a chicken leg in front of the window. Krillin and Goku watched it swing and the drool made it to their chins. Before Goku or Krillin could grab the tasty chicken leg, the curtain was pulled down and the food was hidden. Their faces fell as they sat down in the mud with their lips out. "I wish Vegeta would share," Goku said with a pout. "He always said that Saiyans stick together, so why is he keeping me out?" "What ponders me the most is why he didn't use the bathroom in there when he had to go," Krillin said as he noticed his hand covered in mud. "I wish I didn't laugh at him when he used the poison ivy leaf. I wish I had my own portable house. It's kinda like the old times, Goku," Krillin said, facing his friend. "But we had fish to fish for and sticks to build our own shelter. All we have is mud and moldy trees. This is not how I imagined this would be." "Look on the bright side," Goku said with a sigh. "Vegeta let Piccolo in the house. At least one of us is in there and 2 of us are out here. How is that good, Goku, and when did Vegeta let Piccolo inside his house? When you weren't looking. Of course, Krillin said, folding his arms. Piccolo used to be King Piccolo, and Vegeta is the Prince of Saiyans. Royalty must run between the two. I wish I was a prince. I wish I had a house. At least Gohan says something over his head. Krillin felt a raindrop fall on his head. Within seconds of that raindrop, thousands more came pouring down and soaking the two buddies. Lightning soon flashed and the two buddies were pounding on the door. Dr. Aigeki looked out his window and could help but smile. He loved rainy days, but he loved it more when there was also lightning. It always made experimenting much more fun. Especially when you have a subject to test on. I love this weather, Dr. Aigeki said with his hands behind his back. He turned around and saw his subject on his hands and knees soaking wet. Do you love this weather too? It's so, what's the word, shocking. Gohan looked up at Dr. Aigeki with pure anger in his eyes. The anger in his eyes was soon gone as lightning hit him direct on. He let out a scream as his whole body felt 1,000 of bolts from the lightning bolt. Dr. Aigeki's smile widened as he walked up to the glass container that Gohan was in. The lightning disappeared and Gohan's body trembled from head to toe. Did that hurt? The doctor said, tapping on the glass. 3 lightning bolts and you're starting to shake. Most of my subjects would be burned to a crisp after the first one. Your skin must be tough. I bet you unaffected by bullets. I can test that too. You're a monster, Gohan said, staring the doctor right in the eye. How can you do this to living creatures? Easy, I can. I feel no pain through my subjects though they do. Tell me, how much pain are you going through right now? Not as much pain that you'll be in when I get out of here. That is if you get out of here, Dr. Aigeki said, pushing a few buttons. I'll make this lightning rod a bit higher and maybe we can get the good lightning bolts. Water and electricity are a great combination, don't you think? You're a sick man, Gohan snarled. I'm quite healthy actually. My skin may be a bit off the color, but I'm moving and alive. Let's just hope that you can stay alive after I'm done with you. My father will find me and I will make sure I kill you, Gohan yelled. Another lightning bolt hit him and Gohan let out another scream. As soon as that one was gone, another came. About 5 lightning bolts hit Gohan until he finally got a break. Dr. Aigeki took careful notes in his notebook and smiled. Gohan, still on his fours, shook uncontrollably as the 5 lightning bolts took their after effect. Dr. Aigeki smiled as he walked up to the glass once again. He put the notebook in his pocket and tapped on the glass. Gohan didn't look up the doctor. How rude, Dr. Aigeki said, pouting his lip. I tap on the glass to get your attention and all I get is the cold shoulder. Maybe another shot of Xtuian can make you face me. I'm not taking another one of those, Gohan said as his voice came out in a stutter. He still didn't face the doctor. Oh, but you do. Dr. Aigeki grabbed a needle and added some Xtuian in it and smiled. I know you love this so much. I think I'll add some of this too. I'm not so sure what it is, but I'll figure it out after I give it to you. Why must you torture living things? It's my job. Dr. Aigeki hit a button on his computer. Gohan felt his wrists and ankles once again be pinned down to the ground. He tried his best to break free, but the Kachin, like the one that broke the Z-sword, kept him from doing so. Dr. Aigeki put the needle in one of the machines that was connected to the glass that Gohan was in. You're going to feel slight pressure in your right shoulder, Dr. Aigeki said, pushing more buttons next to the glass Gohan was trapped in. You will feel the same pain as before since Xtuian does that to you. Xtuian causes pain all throughout your body and it can drive any human insane. It only lasts for a few hours, but I put in something else. We will see what happens. A machine with a needle soon made its way to Gohan. The needle hit Gohan's shoulder and the Xtuian with the other thing in there. It soon parted and went back to its corner in the glass. The Kachin on Gohan's wrists and ankles went back to its compartment, but Gohan still remained on his fours. Lightning hit him once again, but this time he didn't let out a cry. Dr. Aigeki's face turned from that. I want to see you screaming in pain, he growled. You will be screaming in pain. I will make sure of it. You will not get what you want, Gohan said between his teeth as electricity covered his body. Gohan looked at the doctor. I will scream no more to entertain you. What? I will not show my pain. You're saying that now, subject, but soon you will be in pain. If lightning won't do it, then you know that the Xtuian will. I am not afraid. One day you will be, Dr. Aigeki said with a smirk. I have much more for you, subject, more than you think. Do whatever you want, Gohan said as the lightning disappeared all around. I will break free from this and kill you the way you killed your subjects, slow and painful. That's the thing about you Saiyans, ruthless killers. Slow and painful, now you're sounding just like me. Gohan bent his head down once again. Talk about a shock therapy. Morning came and Goku opened the fridge. His face fell when he found no food, no drinks and no ice cubes. All he had last night was Vegeta's leftovers. Vegeta didn't eat his vegetables, go figure, so Goku and Krillin were the first to dive in them. Vegeta let him in the house when it began to rain. The last thing he needed was a monk and a Saiyan with a cold. Goku sighed as he closed the fridge door. He stumbled his way to the couch that could fit 5 people and plopped down on the sheets that were on his bed. The couch wasn't even comfy and he had to sleep on it. Krillin fell asleep on the floor and Piccolo was outside since the rain stopped. Vegeta was in his own room and Goku felt rather lonely. He needed to find his son. The stories he read in the book made him think about what kind of pain Gohan could be going through. Goku shook his head from the thought. Gohan was strong. He probably escaped for all he knew. Better safe than sorry. He needed to continue his search. I wonder if Gohan's okay, Goku thought to himself. I bet he escaped and heading home. No, I would have noticed his Kai and we miles away from home. Why do I have a bad feeling about this? Goku's silent thoughts were drifting as his friend Krillin slowly woke up. He didn't notice his friend's awakening since his head was up at the ceiling and his thoughts were somewhere else. Krillin lifted up his head and saw Goku staring up at the ceiling. Morning, Krillin mumbled as he slowly got up to his feet. Do you know what time it is? Not sure, Goku answered with his head to the ceiling. Past breakfast time and before lunch. There's no food in this place and I'm starving. I know what you mean. Krillin got up from the floor and sat down next to Goku in the couch. He stretched out and sighed. I wonder how Gohan's doing. I was thinking the same thing, Krillin. It worries me though. Dr. Ijigaki experiments on animals and doesn't even give them a chance to live. Don't worry, Goku. Gohan is a tough one. There's no way that Dr. Ijigaki can put up with a Saiyan like Gohan. I bet he's too scared of Gohan's power and locked him up without food or water. I mean, Gohan probably locked him up without food and water, never mind. I'm just making things worse. How come we can't sense his energy? Goku asked, turning to Krillin. I hope he's not dead. Gohan's not dead, Piccolo said as he walked up to the two. Piccolo, Goku cried. When did you come back in? Did the bugs attack you and drain your blood? Funny, Piccolo huffed. For your information, I had a vision with Gohan in it. Really? Goku sat himself up. What was it about? I'm curious myself, Vegeta said, coming out of his room. And I noticed all my food was gone from the fridge. Who ate it all? I hope Vegeta doesn't point fingers at me, Krillin thought as he sunk down in the seat. I hope he blames Goku. I opened the fridge and noticed that there was no food, Goku said. I was too tired to eat. Goku, how could you? But I want to hear what Piccolo saw in his vision. Yeah, that's it, change the subject. Fine, Vegeta grunted. Let's hear what the Namk says before the monk becomes my breakfast. I am so dead. It was only a blur, Piccolo began to say. I saw Dr. Ijigaki and this giant computer he was working on. Next to it was this odd-shaped glass object and something was inside it. I couldn't tell what it was, but my guess was that it was Gohan. Dr. Ijigaki was putting a needle in a machine and then it went into the glass object. That's all I saw. There was silence in the room. Then what are we waiting for? Vegeta said, snapping everyone back to reality. Let's get out of here and find that brat. That's so sweet, Goku said, standing up. You care for Gohan. I owe him my life. I could have been killed by Cell, but that brat took that blast for me. Then what are we waiting for? Krillin said, stepping up. Let's hurry on out of here and find our friend. Let's go, Goku cried. Vegeta stepped up to Krillin. You ate my food, monk, and you better run. Gulp. ... Sharp black. Dr. Ijigaki watched as Gohan's hair turned those shades of color. From regular, Super Saiyan level 2, and Mystic. He kept his information in the little notebook he had beside him. The extra liquid he added to the Exteuian was making Gohan change from regular, Super Saiyan, and even Mystic. Dr. Ijigaki was interested with the whole thing because he never seen a Super Saiyan before or even the tapped powers of Gohan. Very interesting, Dr. Ijigaki said, studying Gohan closely. Whatever that one vial was made you too overpowered in energy. I can see that you're trying to fight it and trying to stay in one state. Wow, a Super Saiyan. Dr. Ijigaki was so interested in Gohan that he didn't notice his computer light blinking. He didn't even hear the small beeping it was making, just the sound of the power of a Super Saiyan. The beeping, however, did grow louder and Dr. Ijigaki finally noticed the computer screen. Oh no, he said as he dropped his notebook on the ground. The body temperature is rising and over 110 degrees. You can't handle that power. Dr. Ijigaki typed in a few keys and grabbed a few test tubes. He added one liquid to another and mixed them up. He used a needle and filled it up with the two mixtures. He stuck the needle in the machine near Gohan and injected it into Gohan's shoulder. Within seconds, Gohan passed out and his body temperature was slowly dropping. Dr. Ijigaki sat down in his chair and sighed. That was close. I thought for a minute there he would die. I can't let that happen to him. He will make me famous and my father's life won't be in vain. Now that he's unconscious I think I'll take what I need from him. I'll need to take a blood sample and see how his body is taking in the injections. The last one had to do some damage to the body. What it is I do not know yet. I hope it didn't cause too much damage. Enough lollygagging, time for work. This is useless, Vegeta yelled, blasting a few trees. We've been searching for days and still haven't found that brat. Why in the name of Kami can we find him? Dr. Igeki probably has a Kai barrier around him, Piccolo said, dusting off a few leaves from Vegeta's blast. But Vegeta is right. We have been searching and found nothing. Maybe we're looking in the wrong place, Krillin said. We're only 50 miles away from Goku's house. Maybe he's not in the area or even on this planet. I wish we had a sign. Or something that can help us find Gohan, Goku said with a sigh. Why is it getting harder and harder to find him? I don't even know where to look. So we've been walking around for days to only find nothing, Vegeta cried. I'm about to give up on the search. Let's face it, we're never going to find him, so why don't we just give up? You still have a second son, what would you be missing? There was silence in the woods. Goku stared at the ground while everyone else kept their silence. Well, I'm not going to give up, Piccolo said. I knew Gohan since he was a child. I know that he will stay strong and survive whatever Dr. Igeki pulls on him. Piccolo's right, Krillin said. I'm not going to give up either. Gohan's been through worse. He may need to see a psychologist after what he's been through, but it will only be for about a few months. Ah, Vegeta said with an eye roll. Dr. Igeki probably turned him into a mouse and ate him. From what remember from that book, that brat probably already killed himself for all we know. You read what he did to his experiments. I bet Gohan couldn't take any more and decided to just kill himself. You're wrong, Piccolo cried. Gohan will not snoop that low to that level. If he can't take it anymore then he probably did. He can fight it. How do you know, Namk? We can't sense him, we can't find him, we don't even know where he is. Let's just give up. I'm not giving up. I'm not either, Krillin said. I believe that Gohan's still out there. We can't sense him, but I know that he's alive. Goku will agree 100%, right buddy? Goku still stared at the ground and was sitting on a rock. He kept his silence. Goku, you believe that Gohan's alive, right? Goku, Piccolo said, staring at the sitting Saiyan. He's your son. You have to have faith in him. I don't know, Goku admitted. Piccolo and Krillin stared at him in pure shock. What do you mean, Krillin said, getting into Goku's face. You don't believe in Gohan. I do, don't get me wrong. It's just that I don't know where to look, where to search, who to ask, I don't know anything. If I only told him about that shadow and told him not to go in the woods, then maybe he would be safe. I should have taken the leaves into the woods. Stop blaming yourself, Krillin said. Dr. Igeki would have gotten Gohan one way or another. We can't give up Goku. Your son is in danger. You have to save him. He's your own flesh and blood. Gohan would never give up, so why are you? Goku looked up at Krillin and smiled. You're right, Goku said, getting up. I should never doubt Gohan and his abilities like that. Come on, I have a son to save. That's the Goku I know. It's about time. This is worse than poison ivy. Gohan slowly awoke and felt something licking his face. He pushed a furry thing out of the way, but it came right back and started licking his face again. He opened his eyes up a bit more and saw a gray animal with its tongue out and tail wagging. It finally hit him and realized that it was wolf. Hey girl, Gohan said, slowly getting up, picking up the wolf cub. Then he realized something that she had. Boy. Gohan smiled and petted the male wolf cub. The cub barked and attacked his finger. The little guy wanted to play and Gohan couldn't help but laugh. How did you get in here, little guy? I put him there, Dr. Igeki said with his hands behind his back. That's your dinner. Why what? I know that you haven't had a touch of food in days, so I decided to feed you. I found him in the woods and thought it might provide good meat for you. It's a cub, Gohan said, pointing to the cub with rather shaky hands. I'm not going to eat a cub. That's insane. I'm not even hungry. Not hungry, Dr. Igeki said with an eyebrow raised. I thought Saiyans had huge appetites. Well, whatever you jabbed me with certainly decreased my appetite, and I'm not tired at all. I haven't slept for days and I know I have circles under my eyes. Silly Saiyan. You have no wrinkles because you had a good night's rest. You had a fever and not you're back to your normal body temperature. I just need to know how you feel besides the lack of appetite and shakiness. Why do you need to know that? Gohan asked, petting the cub. You put me through all of this and you want to know the side effects so you can test more on me? That's the basic point, Dr. Igeki said with a smirk. So, how do you feel? Actually, Gohan said, putting his hand on his chest. I feel like my chest is shrinking and it's getting harder to breathe. I'm starting to feel claustrophobic. The small wolf cub looked up at Gohan with worry eyes. Gohan winked at the cub and made his breath come out hard and rigid. Dr. Igeki watched as Gohan leaned on the glass barrier and how his face became rather pale. It sounded like his breath was being forced out and Dr. Igeki opened a small window in the glass tube. "Looks like you need some oxygen," he said as he grabbed Gohan's arm. "Looks like you need a new subject," Gohan said as he punched the doctor with his fist. Dr. Igeki was sent flying back and Gohan exited out of the small door. He grabbed the cub along the way and quickly ran. "My pets," Dr. Igeki cried as he opened a door. "Grab him and don't let him escape. I need him back alive." 4 giant rats came out of the door. They were twice the size of a car and they looked rather hungry. They found Gohan's scent and quickly followed it. Dr. Igeki quickly went to his computer and typed in a few things. He wiped the blood coming out of his nose and growled in frustration. Gohan had no idea where he was and finding an escape was easier said than done. Everything was spinning around and Gohan was having a few hot flashes. He didn't have much energy left and whatever the doctor gave him was taking a huge effect. He was tired and couldn't think straight. The only thing that came into his mind was escape and he needed help to do so. So then the blonde said, "I ordered baby back ribs, not my baby's back ribs," Krillin said, laughing at his own joke. He stopped when no one else was laughing. "Don't you get it, baby back, her baby, oh never mind. Why did we bring the monk, why," Vegeta mumbled to himself. "I knew we should have taken the three-eye guy." Goku chuckled softly. Not noticing that Piccolo stopped right in front of him, Goku slammed into Piccolo. He rubbed his sore nose. "He's Piccolo," Goku said as his voice changed to a high-pitched whine. "Give me a warning before somebody gets hurt." "Quiet," Piccolo shouted. "Relax and try to feel what's around you." Goku blinked but listened to what the Namk was saying. He closed his eyes and concentrated hard on the things around him. To his surprise, he found something. "Gohan." "Right," Piccolo said. "It's weak but it's still there. Hurry, we don't have much time." "It's too far away," Vegeta cried. "By the time we get there and get that brat." "I don't care, Vegeta," Goku cried as he ran. "We better get there first before we guess what may happen next." Vegeta growled under his breath as he quickly followed Goku and the others. "We might be able to get there faster if we use the instant transmission," Vegeta shouted. "Or did you forget about that Kakarot?" "I'll try." Goku placed 2 fingers on his forehead and concentrated on Gohan's weak power level. He growled in frustration since Gohan's Kai was appearing and then disappearing. "I can't get a steady power level." "Then run faster," Piccolo shouted. This was a bad idea, Gohan thought as he pressed his back against the wall. "I'm too weak and I can barely keep my mind straight. I have to get out of here before Dr. Igeki catches me." Gohan pushed himself off the wall with the small cub in hand. He wobbled down the hall and hitting his shoulder on it whenever he felt dizzy. Gohan was having problems concentrating and his shaking body wasn't helping any. The small wolf cub looked up at Gohan and licked him on the hand for encouragement. Gohan smiled down at the cub but then realized that he wasn't alone. He looked behind him and saw one gigantic rat. The rat was black with a white face. Its teeth were bigger than a regular rat's teeth and its claws looked prehistoric. Gohan gulped and quickly ran, but his body could take him so far. He made it to the corner of the hall before clasping to his knees. His breath was rigid and his feet felt heavy. Gohan looked at the cub in his hands. The cub was getting heavier and heavier every second that passed. Gohan saw 3 other rats come from the other side and noticed that he was cornered at the end of the hallway. They looked hungry and Gohan couldn't find a way to escape. "I'm sorry," Gohan said to the small cub. "I wish I can get you out of here. If I let you go then the rats will eat you." Gohan looked up and saw a window above the rat behind him. He stood up and grabbed the corner before he fell. Maybe there is a way to get out of here. Using what energy he had left, Gohan jumped on one of the rats and jumped through the window. Glass went all over the place and Gohan landed hard on the ground. The small wolf cub tumbled out of Gohan's grasp and shook away the dirt. He started barking when the rats went through the wall and Gohan laid there motionless on the ground. The cub ran over to Gohan and started barking in his face. Gohan managed to open one eye and smiled at the small cub. "Run little guy," Gohan said. "Get out of here before Dr. Igeki uses you as an experiment. Go back home to your family." "Yap yap yap," the small cub barked. He then began to whimper. "I'll be alright," Gohan whispered before going into a world of darkness. The cub nudged Gohan but saw the rats making their way to the Demi Saiyan. The cub quickly ran off when he saw Dr. Igeki coming out of the broken wall. "I give you shelter and treat you better than the rest of my subjects and this is how you repay me," Dr. Igeki said with a mask of anger. "You tried to escape your fate. Now you made me mad. My loyal rats, take him back into my lab so I can teach him a lesson that he'll never forget." Morning came and Goku opened the fridge. His face fell when he found no food, no drinks and no ice cubes. All he had last night was Vegeta's leftovers. Vegeta didn't eat his vegetables, go figure, so Goku and Krillin were the first to dive in them. Vegeta let him in the house when it began to rain. The last thing he needed was a monk and a Saiyan with a cold. Goku sighed as he closed the fridge door. He stumbled his way to the couch that could fit 5 people and plopped down on the sheets that were on his bed. The couch wasn't even comfy and he had to sleep on it. Krillin fell asleep on the floor and Piccolo was outside since the rain stopped. Vegeta was in his own room and Goku felt rather lonely. He needed to find his son. The stories he read in the book made him think about what kind of pain Gohan could be going through. Goku shook his head from the thought. Gohan was strong. He probably escaped for all he knew. Better safe than sorry. He needed to continue his search. I wonder if Gohan's okay, Goku thought to himself. I bet he escaped and heading home. No, I would have noticed his Kai and we miles away from home. Why do I have a bad feeling about this? Goku's silent thoughts were drifting as his friend Krillin slowly woke up. He didn't notice his friend's awakening since his head was up at the ceiling and his thoughts were somewhere else. Krillin lifted up his head and saw Goku staring up at the ceiling. Morning, Krillin mumbled as he slowly got up to his feet. Do you know what time it is? Not sure, Goku answered with his head to the ceiling. Past breakfast time and before lunch. There's no food in this place and I'm starving. I know what you mean. Krillin got up from the floor and sat down next to Goku in the couch. He stretched out and sighed. I wonder how Gohan's doing. I was thinking the same thing, Krillin. It worries me though. Dr. Ijigaki experiments on animals and doesn't even give them a chance to live. Don't worry, Goku. Gohan is a tough one. There's no way that Dr. Ijigaki can put up with a Saiyan like Gohan. I bet he's too scared of Gohan's power and locked him up without food or water. I mean, Gohan probably locked him up without food and water, never mind. I'm just making things worse. How come we can't sense his energy? Goku asked, turning to Krillin. I hope he's not dead. Gohan's not dead, Piccolo said as he walked up to the two. Piccolo, Goku cried. When did you come back in? Did the bugs attack you and drain your blood? Funny, Piccolo huffed. For your information, I had a vision with Gohan in it. Really? Goku sat himself up. What was it about? I'm curious myself, Vegeta said, coming out of his room. And I noticed all my food was gone from the fridge. Who ate it all? I hope Vegeta doesn't point fingers at me, Krillin thought as he sunk down in the seat. I hope he blames Goku. I opened the fridge and noticed that there was no food, Goku said. I was too tired to eat. Goku, how could you? But I want to hear what Piccolo saw in his vision. Yeah, that's it, change the subject. Fine, Vegeta grunted. Let's hear what the Namk says before the monk becomes my breakfast. I am so dead. It was only a blur, Piccolo began to say. I saw Dr. Ijigaki and this giant computer he was working on. Next to it was this odd-shaped glass object and something was inside it. I couldn't tell what it was, but my guess was that it was Gohan. Dr. Ijigaki was putting a needle in a machine and then it went into the glass object. That's all I saw. There was silence in the room. Then what are we waiting for? Vegeta said, snapping everyone back to reality. Let's get out of here and find that brat. That's so sweet, Goku said, standing up. You care for Gohan. I owe him my life. I could have been killed by Cell, but that brat took that blast for me. Then what are we waiting for? Krillin said, stepping up. Let's hurry on out of here and find our friend. Let's go, Goku cried. Vegeta stepped up to Krillin. You ate my food, monk, and you better run. Gulp. ... Sharp black. Dr. Ijigaki watched as Gohan's hair turned those shades of color. From regular, Super Saiyan level 2, and Mystic. He kept his information in the little notebook he had beside him. The extra liquid he added to the Exteuian was making Gohan change from regular, Super Saiyan, and even Mystic. Dr. Ijigaki was interested with the whole thing because he never seen a Super Saiyan before or even the tap powers of Gohan. Very interesting, Dr. Ijigaki said, studying Gohan closely. Whatever that one vial was made you too overpowered in energy. I can see that you're trying to fight it and trying to stay in one state. Wow, a Super Saiyan. Dr. Ijigaki was so interested in Gohan that he didn't notice his computer light blinking. He didn't even hear the small beeping it was making, just the sound of the power of a Super Saiyan. The beeping, however, did grow louder and Dr. Ijigaki finally noticed the computer screen. Oh no, he said as he dropped his notebook on the ground. The body temperature is rising and over 110 degrees. You can't handle that power. Dr. Ijigaki typed in a few keys and grabbed a few test tubes. He added one liquid to another and mixed them up. He used a needle and filled it up with the two mixtures. He stuck the needle in the machine near Gohan and injected it into Gohan's shoulder. Within seconds, Gohan passed out and his body temperature was slowly dropping. Dr. Ijigaki sat down in his chair and sighed. That was close. I thought for a minute there he would die. I can't let that happen to him. He will make me famous and my father's life won't be in vain. Now that he's unconscious I think I'll take what I need from him. I'll need to take a blood sample and see how his body is taking in the injections. The last one had to do some damage to the body. What it is I do not know yet. I hope it didn't cause too much damage. Enough lollygagging, time for work. This is useless, Vegeta yelled, blasting a few trees. We've been searching for days and still haven't found that brat. Why in the name of Kami can we find him? Dr. Igeki probably has a Kai barrier around him, Piccolo said, dusting off a few leaves from Vegeta's blast. But Vegeta is right. We have been searching and found nothing. Maybe we're looking in the wrong place, Krillin said. We're only 50 miles away from Goku's house. Maybe he's not in the area or even on this planet. I wish we had a sign. Or something that can help us find Gohan, Goku said with a sigh. Why is it getting harder and harder to find him? I don't even know where to look. So we've been walking around for days to only find nothing, Vegeta cried. I'm about to give up on the search. Let's face it, we're never going to find him, so why don't we just give up? You still have a second son, what would you be missing? There was silence in the woods. Goku stared at the ground while everyone else kept their silence. Well, I'm not going to give up, Piccolo said. I knew Gohan since he was a child. I know that he will stay strong and survive whatever Dr. Igeki pulls on him. Piccolo's right, Krillin said. I'm not going to give up either. Gohan's been through worse. He may need to see a psychologist after what he's been through, but it will only be for about a few months. Ha, Vegeta said with an eye roll. Dr. Igeki probably turned him into a mouse and ate him. From what remember from that book, that brat probably already killed himself for all we know. You read what he did to his experiments. I bet Gohan couldn't take any more and decided to just kill himself. You're wrong, Piccolo cried. Gohan will not snoop that low to that level. If he can't take it anymore then he probably did. He can fight it. How do you know, Namk? We can't sense him, we can't find him, we don't even know where he is. Let's just give up. I'm not giving up. I'm not either, Krillin said. I believe that Gohan's still out there. We can't sense him, but I know that he's alive. Goku will agree 100%, right buddy? Goku still stared at the ground and was sitting on a rock. He kept his silence. Goku, you believe that Gohan's alive, right? Goku, Piccolo said, staring at the sitting Saiyan. He's your son. You have to have faith in him. I don't know, Goku admitted. Piccolo and Krillin stared at him in pure shock. What do you mean, Krillin said, getting into Goku's face. You don't believe in Gohan. I do, don't get me wrong. It's just that I don't know where to look, where to search, who to ask, I don't know anything. If I only told him about that shadow and told him not to go in the woods, then maybe he would be safe. I should have taken the leaves into the woods. Stop blaming yourself, Krillin said. Dr. Igeki would have gotten Gohan one way or another. We can't give up Goku. Your son is in danger. You have to save him. He's your own flesh and blood. Gohan would never give up, so why are you? Goku looked up at Krillin and smiled. You're right, Goku said, getting up. I should never doubt Gohan and his abilities like that. Come on, I have a son to save. That's the Goku I know. It's about time. This is worse than poison ivy. Gohan slowly awoke and felt something licking his face. He pushed a furry thing out of the way, but it came right back and started licking his face again. He opened his eyes up a bit more and saw a gray animal with its tongue out and tail wagging. It finally hit him and realized that it was wolf. Hey girl, Gohan said, slowly getting up, picking up the wolf cub. Then he realized something that she had. Boy. Gohan smiled and petted the male wolf cub. The cub barked and attacked his finger. The little guy wanted to play and Gohan couldn't help but laugh. How did you get in here, little guy? I put him there, Dr. Igeki said with his hands behind his back. That's your dinner. Why what? I know that you haven't had a touch of food in days, so I decided to feed you. I found him in the woods and thought it might provide good meat for you. It's a cub, Gohan said, pointing to the cub with rather shaky hands. I'm not going to eat a cub. That's insane. I'm not even hungry. Not hungry, Dr. Igeki said with an eyebrow raised. I thought Saiyans had huge appetites. Well, whatever you jabbed me with certainly decreased my appetite, and I'm not tired at all. I haven't slept for days and I know I have circles under my eyes. Silly Saiyan. You have no wrinkles because you had a good night's rest. You had a fever and not you're back to your normal body temperature. I just need to know how you feel besides the lack of appetite and shakiness. Why do you need to know that? Gohan asked, petting the cub. You put me through all of this and you want to know the side effects so you can test more on me? That's the basic point, Dr. Igeki said with a smirk. So, how do you feel? Actually, Gohan said, putting his hand on his chest. I feel like my chest is shrinking and it's getting harder to breathe. I'm starting to feel claustrophobic. The small wolf cub looked up at Gohan with worry eyes. Gohan winked at the cub and made his breath come out hard and rigid. Dr. Aigeki watched as Gohan leaned on the glass barrier and how his face became rather pale. It sounded like his breath was being forced out and Dr. Aigeki opened a small window in the glass tube. Looks like you need some oxygen, he said as he grabbed Gohan's arm. Looks like you need a new subject, Gohan said as he punched the doctor with his fist. Dr. Aigeki was sent flying back and Gohan exited out of the small door. He grabbed the cub along the way and quickly ran. My pets, Dr. Aigeki cried as he opened a door. Grab him and don't let him escape. I need him back alive. 4 giant rats came out of the door. They were twice the size of a car and they looked rather hungry. They found Gohan's scent and quickly followed it. Dr. Aigeki quickly went to his computer and typed in a few things. He wiped the blood coming out of his nose and growled in frustration. Gohan had no idea where he was and finding an escape was easier said than done. Everything was spinning around and Gohan was having a few hot flashes. He didn't have much energy left and whatever the doctor gave him was taking a huge effect. He was tired and couldn't think straight. The only thing that came into his mind was escape and he needed help to do so. So then the blonde said, I ordered baby back ribs, not my baby's back ribs, Krillin said, laughing at his own joke. He stopped when no one else was laughing. Don't you get it, baby back, her baby, oh never mind. Why did we bring the monk, why, Vegeta mumbled to himself. I knew we should have taken the 3-eye guy. Goku chuckled softly. Not noticing that Piccolo stopped right in front of him, Goku slammed into Piccolo. He rubbed his sore nose. Geez Piccolo, Goku said as his voice changed to a high-pitched whine. Give me a warning before somebody gets hurt. Quiet, Piccolo shouted. Relax and try to feel what's around you. Goku blinked but listened to what the Namk was saying. He closed his eyes and concentrated hard on the things around him. To his surprise, he found something. Gohan. Right, Piccolo said. It's weak but it's still there. Hurry, we don't have much time. It's too far away, Vegeta cried. By the time we get there and get that brat. I don't care Vegeta, Goku cried as he ran. We better get there first before we guess what may happen next. Vegeta growled under his breath as he quickly followed Goku and the others. We might be able to get there faster if we use the instant transmission, Vegeta shouted. Or did you forget about that Kakarot? I'll try. Goku placed 2 fingers on his forehead and concentrated on Gohan's weak power level. He growled in frustration since Gohan's Kai was appearing and then disappearing. I can't get a steady power level. Then run faster, Piccolo shouted. This was a bad idea Gohan thought as he pressed his back against the wall. I'm too weak and I can barely keep my mind straight. I have to get out of here before Dr. Aigeki catches me. Gohan pushed himself off the wall with the small cub in hand. He wobbled down the hall and hitting his shoulder on it whenever he felt dizzy. Gohan was having problems concentrating and his shaking body wasn't helping any. The small wolf cub looked up at Gohan and licked him on the hand for encouragement. Gohan smiled down at the cub but then realized that he wasn't alone. He looked behind him and saw one gigantic rat. The rat was black with a white face. Its teeth were bigger than a regular rat's teeth and its claws looked prehistoric. Gohan gulped and quickly ran, but his body could take him so far. He made it to the corner of the hall before clasping to his knees. His breath was rigid and his feet felt heavy. Gohan looked at the cub in his hands. The cub was getting heavier and heavier every second that passed. Gohan saw 3 other rats come from the other side and noticed that he was cornered at the end of the hallway. They looked hungry and Gohan couldn't find a way to escape. I'm sorry, Gohan said to the small cub. I wish I can get you out of here. If I let you go then the rats will eat you. Gohan looked up and saw a window above the rat behind him. He stood up and grabbed the corner before he fell. Maybe there is a way to get out of here. Using what energy he had left, Gohan jumped on one of the rats and jumped through the window. Glass went all over the place and Gohan landed hard on the ground. The small wolf cub tumbled out of Gohan's grasp and shook away the dirt. He started barking when the rats went through the wall and Gohan laid there motionless on the ground. The cub ran over to Gohan and started barking in his face. Gohan managed to open one eye and smiled at the small cub. Run little guy, Gohan said. Get out of here before Dr. Aigeki uses you as an experiment. Go back home to your family. Yap yap yap, the small cub barked. He then began to whimper. I'll be alright, Gohan whispered before going into a world of darkness. The cub nudged Gohan, but saw the rats making their way to the Demi Saiyan. The cub quickly ran off when he saw Dr. Aigeki coming out of the broken wall. I give you shelter and treat you better than the rest of my subjects, and this is how you repay me, Dr. Aigeki said with a mask of anger. You tried to escape your fate. Now you made me mad. My loyal rats, take him back into my lab so I can teach him a lesson that he'll never forget. What's Dr. Aigeki going to do to Gohan? What pain will Gohan go through? Will Goku and the others save Gohan in time? Review and you will see. I can't sense him anymore either, Piccolo said with his eyes closed. He opened them and sighed. We were so close too. How can someone just disappear like that, Krillin said as he looked around some. I bet you that Dr. Ijigeki got to him. Gohan tried to escape. That's why we felt his power level. You think, Goku said turning to his friend. Well, we know that we're in the right direction. We just have to find where Gohan is. He's south from here, so if we keep on going this way then we'll have to find him. Blah, Vegeta said. By the time we find him he will be dead. Dr. Ijigeki probably turned him into a cream puff and ate him for all we know. I could have eaten my son. Oh no, you have to uncapsize your home, Vegeta. We have to do some fishing in your toilet. Suddenly I don't feel hungry, Krillin said holding his stomach. I don't think that I'll ever eat cream puffs ever again either. How about we stop yapping and find Gohan, Piccolo shouted. I'm sick and tired of stopping and chatting. From now on I am not stopping to talk or rest until we find Gohan. Piccolo stormed ahead. Krillin looked at Goku and shrugged his shoulders. Goku did the same and followed Piccolo into the woods. Vegeta followed behind, mumbling to himself along the way. Gohan's eyes shot open as pain soon filled his body. First his legs, then arms, his chest, his torso, and then finally to his head. He couldn't move, not because of the chains holding him down, it was because he was numb and couldn't grasp onto what was hurting. In other words, Gohan was numb, but he could feel intense pain inside of him. Dr. Ijigeki watched him from outside the glass as needles filled with Exteuian went into all parts of his body. When Dr. Ijigeki said that Gohan would pay, he meant it. He found it quite entertaining watching Gohan struggle into something that he could not break free from, and powering up never helped. That only made it worse in some circumstances. The giant rats went back where they came from while Dr. Ijigeki watched Gohan. He couldn't help but smirk seeing his subject grind his teeth together and his eyes coming out of his sockets while more needles filled with Exteuian kept going in his body. I hope this teaches you a lesson and run away while I'm still testing, Dr. Ijigeki said, jotting a few sentences on Gohan's process. Another hour of this and you'll be able to move. I bet it feels like your body is being torn into many pieces. Gohan turned his head towards Dr. Ijigeki and he did not look one bit happy. Dr. Ijigeki only smiled at the Demi-Saiyan with his toothless smile and a few green teeth. Don't worry, Gohan. With all the injections you are receiving you should be pain-free within days, weeks at the most. Maybe your family and friends could find you within those days or weeks. Gohan turned his head away and shut his eyes. He couldn't hold it in anymore. He screamed and that brought a huge smile on Dr. Ijigeki's face. I can't believe we are stuck eating leaves and grass soup, Goku said, stirring a bowl filled with the two ingredients and water. It needs salt, pepper, taste. I never knew this place was so dead, Krillin said watching Goku stir the food. I'm sick and tired of leaf and grass soup. It's been a week and I haven't had normal food in days. I don't know who I am anymore. You're about to be dead if you don't shut up, Vegeta yelled. At least there's a river here for water after we heat it up to get rid of the dead fish taste. It's called condensation, Vegeta, Piccolo said, meditating near a tree. We have to be close if the river is contaminated with Dr. Ijigeki's testing. Just follow the river and we'll find Gohan soon enough. I say we should continue. Unlike you, Piccolo, we need food to live and become energized, Goku said, still stirring the poor mixture. The more powerful we are, the better it is to get Gohan to safety. If he's not dead, Vegeta mumbled. Tomorrow we will find Gohan, bring him to safety and get back home. I'm missing my soap operas. Vegeta, I never knew, Piccolo said with a smirk on his face. I want to know if Janice takes Richard to marry or does she take Benjamin instead, Krillin said. She's pregnant too. With Richard's kid, Goku said as he stopped stirring. Janice loves Benjamin though, and they left a cliffhanger before we left. This is why Namps are males, Piccolo thought with an eye roll. We don't have to put up with our wives' soap like them. Goku and the others soon ate their leaves and grass soup and went to bed. They got up early to find Gohan and to their surprise, they found a place with a hole blasted through it. They also saw a broken window next to the hole in the wall and broken glass on the grass. He has to be in there, Goku said. Come on, before it's too late. Goku, Vegeta, Krillin and Piccolo all ran inside to rescue Gohan. But they were too late. There were no giant rats blocking their way into the small shack. To their surprise, the shack went downhill and went deep into a basement. There were only corners and there was no other way to go. It was a spiral of a hallway going deeper and deeper down to the ground. They stopped and hid when they saw a giant computer and Dr. Ijigeki standing before it. What they didn't see was the glass tube Gohan was in and the state he was in. Goku, Vegeta, Krillin and Piccolo all hid so that Dr. Ijigeki wouldn't see them. They did keep their ears open for some information and stayed where the shadows covered their bodies. They saw Dr. Ijigeki disappear on the other side, but they couldn't poke their heads out. They didn't want to get caught. So the Xtuian wore off yesterday, and now the ZRHT is taking a wonderful effect on you, they heard Dr. Igeki say. The Forgetian worked yesterday and today you are trying to stop it. You can swallow your own digested for a short time, but you know you'll have to vomit soon enough. Not even I can stand to be in my own vomit and smell it for over 24 hours. What does he mean? Krillin whispered. It means that the brat is vomiting, Vegeta answered. He can do so for about an hour, and I'm guessing that Gohan doesn't want to puke all over the place. Quiet, Piccolo whispered. We don't want him to hear us. Krillin and Vegeta quickly grew quiet as they tried to hear what Dr. Igeki was doing to Gohan. Goku peeked over and found his son in a glass tube with his hand over his mouth, his other hand on his stomach, and sitting down on his knees. He would see Gohan's cheeks expand out, but then quickly disappeared as he swallowed the futile food. How can he do this to Gohan? Goku asked himself in a whisper. Vegeta overheard and nodded in agreement. That's what I have for you today, Dr. Igeki sang. I gave it to my rats and now they're huge. They are the ones that chased you when you tried to escape. I told you he had giant black rats, Goku said to Vegeta. You said that they were for transportation, Vegeta said. But he still had black rats. Shut up, Kakarot. I'm just saying. Vegeta growled under his breath. And then another growl was heard. Vegeta stopped growling, Piccolo whispered. We don't want to get caught. I only growled once, Vegeta whispered back. It could have been Kakarot's stomach doing all the growling. I'm fine, Goku said. My stomach would be louder anyway. Is it just me or does Dr. Igeki have the heat on? Krillin said as he felt warm heat coming from the back of his neck. Piccolo looked behind Krillin and gasped. Goku and Vegeta saw it also and had their mouths agape. What? Behind you, Piccolo whispered. And whatever you do, don't scream. Krillin gulped and turned around. The first thing he saw was razor-sharp teeth and red eyes. He felt the heat coming from the mouth and realized that it was one of Dr. Igeki's giant rats. He turned and looked at the others with his teeth chattering and pointed behind him. The rat let out a cry and Krillin ran out from cover. Wah! Vegeta slapped his forehead and quickly ran out to the opening to where Krillin ran. Goku and Piccolo followed and the distribution caused Dr. Igeki to look. The giant rat quickly followed the others out and gave a cry once again. My, Dr. Igeki said turning his attention away from Gohan. We have guests. We also have a Namk on our hands. Another subject to test on. I am not a test subject, Piccolo said. And release Gohan right now. I'm afraid I can't do that, Namk. I'm so amazed with his body and how it takes in many things that can kill a regular human. He could have died 3 times, but he still seems to keep it up. Let my son go, Goku commanded. Take me instead. I'm a full-blooded Saiyan and you can test on me as much as you want. Kakarot, you're an idiot, Vegeta shouted. Take the Namk. He's not much of a challenge and he won't be missed. Vegeta, that's mean, Krillin said. If you don't want the Namp then take the monk. Feed them to your rats. He married an android for Kami's sake. How come I never learned to keep my big mouth shut, Krillin mumbled to himself. All seems tempting, but I am very much happy with the subject I have now, Dr. Igeki said tapping on the glass that held Gohan. But feeding my rats seems like a good idea, Vegeta. My rats will thank you. Dr. Igeki hit a button on the computer and the wall on the left side opened. Dr. Igeki stepped out of the way and 3 huge rats appeared. You're wrong about one thing, Kakarot, Vegeta said backing away from the rats. They're not big black rats, they're black and white. Well, excuse me for not knowing that they are both black and white, Goku said getting back to back with Vegeta. Can we not argue about the coloration and destroy these things, Piccolo said. Easier said than done, Namk, Dr. Igeki said. These rats can easily destroy you and are powerful than any Saiyan alive. Their power levels are over 5,000 and easily tear your skin off. Now my hungry rats kill them. Goku looked at Vegeta and smirked. Over 5,000, that was like trying to fight Frieza in his first stage. They were strong now and even Krillin could destroy one. 4 rats, 4 fighters. This was going to be fun. Distro disc. Special beam cannon. Final flash. Ha. Within minutes, the rats were easily destroyed and blown into pieces. Goku turned to Dr. Igeki and smirked. That wasn't even a warm-up, Goku joked. Our power levels are over 5,000. Give us a challenge, Dr. Igeki. The CC challenge, Dr. Igeki stuttered as his back was firmly pressed to the computer. They were my strongest warriors and you killed them like ants. We Saiyans are rather fond of killing ants, Vegeta said cracking his knuckles. Now release the half Saiyan so I can go home and eat real food. But you want to challenge Saiyans. I'll give you a challenge, Saiyans. A challenge that will test my work. Dr. Igeki mixed a few mixtures together and had a needle filled with a black substance. His grin spread all over his face as he put it into one of the machines attached to the glass. "He's putting something into Gohan," Piccolo shouted. Before any of them could react, the needle pierced into Gohan's shoulder. Gohan was still on his knees, but his face was in a daze. He didn't even realize the needle pierced into his shoulder. "Now watch in amazement as your friend destroys you," Dr. Ijaigeki cried. The others watched Gohan sit there and saw nothing happen to him. Dr. Ijaigeki took a look at Gohan and frowned. "How come it's not working? I put in the right ingredients I put into my rats. Don't tell me he's immune to it." "Saiyans can take in many things, Doctor," Vegeta said with a laugh. "Now with no interruptions or giant rats in the way, we are going to kill you now." "Why you can't? I will not take away my dream. You are a crazy man and should be put to rest," Vegeta said, walking over to Dr. Ijaigeki. He grabbed him by the collar and pinned him to his computer. "Now get that brat out of there before things start to get really nasty." Vegeta put him down, Goku shouted. "We need to get Gohan out of here first. He can come right back and capture him again," Vegeta shouted, turning his attention away from Dr. Ijaigeki. "I don't want to go through all that again. Give him mercy, Vegeta." "What? Kakarot, this guy kidnapped your son, tortured him, and tested things on him that we never knew existed. You're letting him get away with murder. Let's just take Gohan and leave," Goku said, turning to his son. "I want to get him to Bulma. She can help him." "Do you think she can help him now?" "Huh?" Goku didn't realize that Gohan was shaking. Dr. Ijaigeki smiled and began to laugh when he saw his subject. "Yes," he cried as he watched Gohan. "It's working. I knew that it would work." Dr. Ijaigeki laughed and faced Goku. "What are you going to do now, Goku? Your son will be under my control and I will have the power. You won't be able to destroy your own son just like you destroyed my rats." "What's happening?" Goku asked out loud. "Like a Saiyan such as yourself, you transform when you have too much power. I've noticed that when I gave Gohan some of Titan. He had too much power and his body overheated. If I mix that up with what I gave my rats, then he would be too powerful for you to defeat." Goku could only watch as his son began to transform into something that he wasn't. Gohan's body began to sweat as he grasped onto his head and screamed. Goku and the others covered their ears at the horrible screeching, since it didn't sound like Gohan screaming. It was more a woman screaming from a horror movie, expect louder. They watched in terror as they saw spikes come out of Gohan's back, showing Gohan's blood on the tips. His shoulders began to expand out and his skin turned to the color of gray. His eyes turned yellow and his shirt began to tear as his body began to expand. His hair turned into multiple spikes and his hands turned into claws and his body was expanding. It grew too large in the small glass bottle and the glass exploded. There stood a creature about the size of the rats with the spikes covered with blood. The eyes were a sickening yellow and the only remains of Gohan were the pants that he wore. His feet were like the hands and had sharp claws on every finger and toe. Those two were covered in half Saiyan, half human blood. Any memories that Gohan knew were no longer in this gigantic monster form. He had the look to kill and found his first target. Dr. Ijaigeki. Gohan's yellow eyes, however, did remember the torture that the doctor had given him. No mercy was going to be in this kill, and Dr. Ijaigeki didn't realize that he was the target of Gohan's wild rampage. "Well, I'll be a son of an amp," Vegeta said as he saw the two-story monster known as Gohan. "I can't say that it's a better improvement." "Ha ha ha ha," Dr. Ijaigeki laughed. "Now my creature, kill the intruders." Gohan did not listen to his orders and decided to attack him instead. Dr. Ijaigeki saw Gohan heading towards him and began to panic. "What are you doing? I don't want you to kill me, I want you to kill them." Gohan roared as he grabbed Dr. Ijaigeki with his claws. He brought the doctor in front of his face and began to squeeze the life out of the doctor. The small troll began to turn colors as he couldn't breathe. Goku couldn't stop Gohan's mad antics, but he could try. "Gohan, stop," Goku shouted. Gohan never heard. "You don't want to be like him, Gohan. That's going down to his level. Gohan, show him mercy." "I have the cure," Dr. Ijaigeki said, using whatever breath he had. "If he kills me then he will be like this forever." "Where is it so that we can help you?" Goku cried. "If we can get him back to his normal size then maybe you will be able to survive." Goku quickly ran to the vial that Dr. Ijaigeki was talking about. He grabbed it and tried to find a needle of some sort to get Gohan with. Goku found one and gulped. "Vegeta," Goku yelled. "Put this stuff in the needle because I can't touch it." "Why the hell not?" Vegeta yelled back. "I'm scared." "For crying out loud, Kakarot." "I'm not crying, Vegeta. I'm just scared." Vegeta growled and quickly ran over to Goku. He filled the needle with a green vial and quickly ran over to the gigantic Gohan. Dr. Ijaigeki was close to death with Gohan's grip and blood began to pour out of his mouth. Vegeta began to have second thoughts. "Will this really cure him or turn him into another horrible-looking creature?" Vegeta asked. "Will this even kill him?" Dr. Ijaigeki opened his mouth, but the only thing that came out was blood. Just give it to him, Vegeta, Goku shouted. How can you trust him, Kakarot? Please, Vegeta. Vegeta looked at the needle and sighed. I'm getting too soft. Though the monstrous Gohan did not want another needle through his body. He had plenty beforehand, and the one needle was not going to puncture his skin again. Gohan turned to face Vegeta with Dr. Aigeki still being crushed in his arms. Vegeta stood wide-eyed as he saw Dr. Aigeki, with his eyes bulged out and blood all over his body. From what Vegeta could see, Dr. Aigeki was dead, but Gohan still grasped onto him with all his might. His yellow eyes met with the Saiyan prince's and roared. Vegeta, you're his next target, Krillin cried. Get out of the way. I'll distract him and you give him this, Vegeta shouted as he threw the needle to Krillin. Don't try to inject yourself. Krillin caught the needle and watched for the needle. He threw the needle to Piccolo because he was too terrified to go up to Gohan and didn't want to die again. Piccolo caught it and stared at it. He grabbed Goku's hand and put the needle in there. I don't know how to use it, Piccolo said with a bit of red in his cheeks. Goku stared at the needle and his hands began to shake. Gohan was attacking Vegeta while Piccolo and Krillin tried to distract him from Vegeta. They flew too fast before Goku to pass the needle back. Dr. Aigeki was still in Gohan's hand and it seemed like that Gohan was never going to let go. Krillin, Piccolo shouted as he blasted Gohan. It failed, but it kept Gohan away from Vegeta for a short time. Look at his arms. They're black and blue like bruises. Attack them. Are you sure? Krillin shouted back. Just do it. Krillin nodded and punched Gohan in the shoulder. Gohan roared in pain and threw the dead body of Dr. Aigeki at him. Krillin panicked and dropped the doctor to the ground. Gohan's new target, Krillin. Goku, Krillin shouted. You can nail him with that needle now. Goku snapped out of his needle nightmare and realized that Krillin was in trouble. Piccolo and Vegeta kept on attacking Gohan with Kai blasts on his shoulder and that was making Gohan quite infuriated. He needed to help his son and rescue his friends. Taking the needle in hand, Goku stepped up and flew to Gohan. He put the needle behind his back and threw a Kai blast at Gohan's face. The yellow eyes saw Goku and changed his course. Instead of trying to kill Krillin, he was now trying to kill his own father. Goku was ready. Gohan swung his claws at Goku and missed. He let out a cry as he felt the needle pierce through his skin and into his shoulder. Goku jumped off of Gohan's shoulder and on the ground. He landed to the crushed body of Dr. Aigeki and put his hand over his mouth. He quickly ran beside Krillin and stuck out his tongue. Dr. Aigeki did not look better than he did look before. Piccolo and Vegeta soon landed near Goku and Krillin and watched as Gohan went into an all-out rage. Goku was now having second thoughts about injecting the green fluid into Gohan. Maybe Vegeta was right, maybe he shouldn't have trusted Dr. Aigeki. Gohan didn't look like he was going to be normal anytime soon. But then a change happened to Gohan. He began to shrink in size. Gohan clasped his claws on his head as he roared. With his body also shrinking in size, his skin began to go to his unnatural pale color. The sharp claws shrunk down back into his skin and his hair was returning back to its natural. The roar soon disappeared into silence as Gohan went back to normal, so everyone thought. He was curled up into a ball in the middle of the floor shaking like no tomorrow. Goku quickly went to his son's side and bent down. He touched his son's shoulder, but Gohan recoiled. Goku was a bit hurt by the gesture, but knew that Gohan had been through a lot and Goku didn't know what Dr. Aigeki did to him. He saw bruises on his shoulders from all the needles and a few spots on his chest, torso, and arms. Piccolo, Goku shouted. Give me your cape. Piccolo did as Goku said and took off his cape. Goku made it flat and wrapped it around his son's shaking body. Gohan did not want to be held, but he had no energy to push Goku away. Goku held him and all he could feel was his son shaking. He may never heal from this pain. Will Gohan's pain ever be healed? Review if you really want to know. Gohan was brought back to Capsule Corporation, but not in the greatest shape. He would not let anyone touch him and if they tried he would scream. Bulma tried to give him a painkiller, but using a needle wasn't the best choice. He slapped the needle out of Bulma's hand and it broke into pieces. They had to pin him down on the bed in the medical ward and tried to give him the needle that way. But with small strength left he managed to keep the needle away from him. All Gohan would do was shake and be curled up into a ball. His face was still pale and his ribs were now showing. Gohan was in an unhealthy state and no matter what Bulma tried to do, Gohan would not. He wouldn't eat, he wouldn't sleep, and he did not like company. At least it was only the first day. Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo and Krillin kept Gohan pinned to the table. This was the second time that they did this. Goten and Trunks tried to keep his legs down, but Gohan kept on thrashing. Goku and the others were having trouble themselves. They couldn't keep Gohan pinned down without him knocking someone off balance. First Krillin and then Goku himself. We're just trying to help you, Goku said trying to keep Gohan's arm down. Calm down Gohan. This won't hurt you. Gohan kept on thrashing. Goten and Trunks were now flying with Gohan's legs as he tried to kick them off. "This isn't working," Vegeta said, trying to keep the other arm down. "This is the second time we tried to do this. He's not going to let us help him. Is there any way we can get something in him to knock him out or something?" Krillin said, trying to help Goten and Trunks. "A pill or something that doesn't involve a needle of any kind." "Actually, Krillin, I just may have that," Bulma said, putting the needle on the counter with many other things. She searched through her lab until she found what she was looking for. "Here it is. This should calm him down. It won't knock him out, but he'll be in a dazed state." Bulma walked back to the others and titled her head. "How are we supposed to give it to him?" "I'll hold his head," Goku said, switching from the arm to the head. "Krillin, get his arm and Piccolo will stay to keeping Gohan's chest down. Don't touch any of his bruises. Goten and Trunks, you two try to keep his leg still." "That's what we're trying to do," Trunks said, sitting on Gohan's leg. "He has to get tired or something." "Why won't he stay still?" Goten asked, sitting on Gohan's other leg. "Because your brother is crazy," Vegeta replied. "Just hold his legs and stop asking question." Goten slightly nodded and tried to keep Gohan's leg down. Of course, Gohan had a plan of his own. There was no way he was getting any more drugs in his body. Goku held Gohan in a headlock to keep his head from turning. Vegeta and Krillin held onto his arms and Piccolo tried to keep Gohan's chest down so he wouldn't have an easier time to escape. It seemed like an easy way to keep Gohan down. He couldn't escape and had trouble struggling, but there was a downside to Goku's plan. His mouth was shut. "We can't do this," Bulma said, trying to get Gohan to swallow the pill. "Maybe we should leave Gohan alone for a while. He hasn't rested since you guys brought him here and he's barely touching his food." "So you're saying that we should rest a while and try again tomorrow," Piccolo said, letting go of Gohan. "That's exactly what I am saying." Goku released Gohan from the grip, but Vegeta and Krillin were a bit slow. Gohan did not want to be pinned down, and when Vegeta and Krillin finally let go, Gohan punched them both in the face. He kicked Trunks and Goten off his legs and just laid there in a trance, staring up at the ceiling. Vegeta and Krillin stood up, rubbing their noses. "That's the thanks we get for trying to help you," Vegeta growled. "Whatever Dr. Igeki shot in him surely did keep him strong." "My nose is bleeding," Krillin said, holding his nose. "If we have to give him a needle, I suggest that we get more people like Yamcha and Tien. There's no way we can give him a pill." "You guys should leave," Bulma said. "I'm going to have to try something, and I think with a ton of people around wouldn't help much." "What are you going to try to do?" Goku asked as he stared at his son. "I'm going to try and get him to eat something and try to see how much he weighs. It looks like he lost a lot of weight and I need to know how much he lost. I say about 20 pounds, and if it's more than that then maybe we'll have to take him to the hospital." "And what are we going to tell them?" Vegeta said with a grunt. "He was a test subject and has things inside his body that can kill him. What can they do? If we can't keep him down, what says that they will?" "Vegeta does have a point," Krillin said. "We'll just leave it to you. I need a bath and I haven't eaten yet. I think Kai-Kai's cooking." Goten, Trunks, Vegeta and Goku quickly ran out of the room and into the kitchen. Krillin blinked in surprise and quickly followed the hungry Saiyans. Bulma shut and locked the door behind Krillin and went over to a dish with a small platter of food. All it had was rice and water. Bulma carried the dish and placed it on a table next to the bed Gohan was on. She hit a few buttons on the table and it moved the bed up. The head of the bed lifted up and it also lifted up Gohan's upper body. His one hand was off the side of the bed while the other hand was over his stomach. Both his legs were on the end, but his face was drained of all life. "I know you've been through a lot, Gohan, but we need to get something in your system," Bulma said, scooping up some rice on a fork. "Here comes the choo-choo train." Bulma brought the fork close to Gohan's lips, but it didn't make a successful journey. Gohan slapped away the food before it even made it. Rice went all over Bulma and she wasn't very happy. "I'm not Dr. Igeki, Gohan. I'm trying to help you, not poison you." Gohan laid there motionless with his eyes averted to the ceiling. Bulma sighed as she tried once again to feed Gohan some rice. Gohan didn't move, but he still kept his mouth shut. Bulma could see that he was weak, but he needed food to give him strength. She could give him a senzu bean, but knew it would be too much too fast. They had to be patient with him for a while. Tommy knows what he has been through. "Mrs. Sun." Kai walked up to the desk at Orange Star High School. She had her purse in hand and a note in the other. She placed her purse on the counter and gave the note to the secretary. "I'm here for my son Gohan," Kai said as the secretary took the note. "He will be absent for a while, though I'm not sure when he'll be back. I'm sure this note should answer any questions you may ask." Kai grabbed her purse and started to walk away. "Mrs. Sun," the secretary said, holding out the note. "It doesn't say what he has. All the note says is that Gohan would be absent and won't be back for a while." "Darn, I got the stories confused," Kai thought. Though Bulma put the excuse in the note. Now I'm going to have to think of one. I'm sorry, Kai Kai said with a smile. My son is sick because of Dottie had a needle from a doctor and had a real bad allergic reaction and probably won't be back until his heart beats the normal rate. This is a school, they believe anything. Oh my, the secretary gasped as she covered her hand over her mouth. What was he allergic to? Maybe some other students could be allergic also and we can send out a flyer to all teachers. What was he allergic to? Yes. That may be important for teachers and students to know. Well, Kai Kai said with a smile. I must be off and help my son. But the name? It begins with a Z and ends in a Z. I can't remember what it was called since it was such a long name. Please excuse and he'll be back in school as soon as he's healthy again. Bye. Kai quickly went out before the secretary could ask any more questions. Before she could fully step out of school she bumped into someone who knew Gohin very well. Kai, Vidal said with a smile. What are you doing here? Vidal, Kai cried. I'm here on Gohin's behalf. He went to visit his grandfather and won't be back for a while. I told the office that he'll be out for a while and will come back soon. Now I really hate to leave a conversation short but I have to go. Bye Vidal. Kai called for Nimbus and quickly took off. Vidal blinked a few times and shrugged her shoulders. Gohin probably got his with a frying pan one too many times and Kai was just trying to cut herself some slack. She did it before so she can do it again. A trip to his grandfather's was a whacking with the pan. Poor Gohin-chan. Kai returned back to Bulma's with a few bags in her hands. She made Nimbus hold on to them so she could go into the school. Bulma told her to get a few things for Gohin. One was food he liked, chewable pills, and something to knock him out. Kai got that and more. She found the house empty but knew where everyone was. She unpacked her bags in front of Mrs. Briefs and began to cook one of Gohin's favorite things to eat, banana bread. Meanwhile, Goku, Vegeta, Goten, Trunks, Krillin, Piccolo, Yamcha, Pure, Oolong, Tien, Master Roshi, 18, Dr. Briefs, and even Mr. Popo were keeping Gohin pinned to the bed. Even with all the people they had, it was such a difficulty to calm Gohin down. He may have looked weak, but there was no way he was letting another needle touch his bruised skin. Bulma got close once, but she managed to get Dendi in the shoulder. Vegeta threw him in the corner and continued to keep Gohin down. Goku was getting worried. He tried talking to Gohin and tried telling him to calm down. Gohin had a look of panic and his eyes showed the outline of his pupils. He screamed so they could let go, but all he did was give them a headache. Piccolo was about to pull off his ears because of him. Goku couldn't understand why his son was like this. They just wanted to help, but it just seemed like they were causing more pain than trying to prevent it. No one knew what was flowing through his veins. This is not working, Goku shouted over Gohin's scream. We have a lot of people, but we can't keep him down. He's too strong. He's too crazy, Vegeta shouted trying to keep Gohin's arm pinned down. Maybe if we just pin down one arm then maybe we can get it in him. They'll toss us off with his other arm and legs, 18 said having a bit of a problem keeping his legs down. We can try it, but we may not succeed in it. Okay everyone, grab the arm Vegeta has, Bulma said. Everyone nodded and grabbed the one arm. 18 still kept the leg down and Piccolo held the other arm. Goku held Gohin's head and the others went to his arm. Gohin had other plans. As soon as the needle touched, not pierced, his skin Gohin screamed and turned Super Saiyan. His golden power tried to push the fighter away, but everyone held on. Bulma was having problems trying to get the needle in him, so Vegeta grabbed her arm. He helped her push forward and touched one of Gohin's bruises. Gohin's power increased and managed to push everyone away from him. They all flew into the wall, and Gohin's Super Saiyan power faded. He laid there breathing heavy from the use of his power. He was weakening and so were the other Z fighters. This is the thanks we get for trying to help him, Oolong said rubbing his head. How did I get stuck doing this? Kai was going to turn you into bacon, Master Roshi said looking at his broken glasses. That has such amazing powers. Amazing my ass, Vegeta grunted as his back was up against the wall and Bulma on top of him. He's getting weak. We should get him when he's at his weakest. Back and kill him, Goku yelled pushing Pure off of him. We can't do that to him. Goku calm down, Krillin said trying to comfort his friend. We're just trying to help him. We're not going to kill him. It will take some time before we can inject the needle in him. Why can't he understand that we're just trying to help him, Goten said pushing himself off the floor. Looking at his bruises on his body I say he had too many needles in him, Bulma said inspecting his body and not touching it. Like Goku, he has a fear. Going to the doctors won't be the same anymore. Let's just leave him alone for a while and help Kai. I smell banana bread. Gohin's favorite, Yamcha said getting off of Dr. Briefs. If we can get him to eat them maybe he can heal through this on his own. Time to heal, Bulma questioned as she turned to Yamcha. Maybe you're right. If we can give him some time to heal, then maybe he can heal on his own. Only one person should be in the room with him. Goku, that's you. Right, Goku said, nodding his head. So I should stay here until he's better? Yes. Okay, I can do that. Good. Now let's leave and hope that Kai made some extra banana bread for us. I get to lick the beaters, Goten cried, running out of the room. I get the other one, Trunks said, quickly following. What about me? Vegeta said, catching up with the two brats. I do all the damn work and I should at least get the beater. I missed my soap operas because of that brat. I didn't know Vegeta loved egg beaters before, Goku joked. Goku watched Gohan sleep. This was the first night he actually slept since he stayed at Capsule Corps. It's already been 2 nights, and Gohan did not touch the banana bread that his mother made for him. They gave up on pinning him down on the bed and gave him some time to himself. During that time all he did was stare at the ceiling. He was now sleeping, and Bulma said that it was a good sign and hopefully soon he'll be eating soon. It was only 9 at night and Goku didn't mind watching his son sleep. Gohan did look tired and Goku could only imagine what kind of experiments Dr. Igeki did to him. Maybe Gohan didn't have any sleep while Dr. Igeki tested on him. Goku wanted to know what Dr. Igeki did to his son, but the only person who knows is Gohan, and he didn't look like he was talking soon. Gohan was still thin, and the only time he ate was when they left him alone when they brought him to CC. But Goku knew better. If Gohan didn't want to touch banana bread, then what makes him think that he'll touch rice? He probably touched it to see if there were any pills hidden inside the small amount of rice. Goku sighed. Bulma needed to test him and get rid of the poisons in his body and other things that Dr. Igeki shot into his body. There were side effects to everything, and Goku hoped that they weren't as serious as Gohan transforming into a hideous creature. He shivered. Gohan had no feelings inside his body when he attacked Dr. Igeki. Goku didn't have the heart to tell Gohan that he killed him the way Dr. Igeki killed some of his subjects, slowly and painfully. Gohan was not that way, but whatever Dr. Igeki did to him did make him that way. Goku got up and walked over to Gohan's bed. He was curled up in a ball like someone was going to hurt him. The cover hit his body, but Goku could see right through. Then it hit Goku. Gohan was knocked out, so then Goku could get the needle inside of him to calm him down and knock him out completely. Gohan wouldn't wake up and they can test him. Goku cringed. Test his own son. That was what Gohan was going through, and now he was going to go through it again. Can Goku do that? They needed blood, but Gohan was going to be tested. Was it right? Gohan needed to be safe. Was it right? They would know what's in his body and can help him. But what if they can't identify it? Should he put Gohan through it again? But he wouldn't know what's going on. Would he know? No. Goku walked up to the table and grabbed the needle. He had a fear in needles, but if he could help his son, then maybe the fear will disappear. Goku only hoped that Gohan wouldn't snap awake, but he looked dead. Gohan wouldn't feel a thing. If he was in La La Land, then Goku knew that he was safe. No better place to be than in your dreams. Goku tiptoed to Gohan and pulled a part of the cover down. Black and blue skin was shown, and Goku knew better than to aim him where the bruises are. That could wake him up, so Goku went down to his feet. He had to hold his breath. Gohan may have been tested on, but he did have a bad case of BO. They tried to give him a bath, but there was no way he was getting out of that bed. Pulling the covers up, Goku found his ankle and aimed the needle for the vein. Before Goku could actually get the needle close, Gohan kicked it out of his hand and pulled his legs closer to his chest. He was now sitting up with his knees close to his chest and his arms wrapped around his knees. He began to tremble. "It's okay, Gohan," Goku said, getting closer to Gohan. "No," Gohan shouted. "No more needles." "I'm trying to help," Goku said, touching Gohan's shoulder. Gohan slapped his hand away and curled up to the wall. "Gohan, please, I'm just trying to." "No more needles." "Gohan, no more needles. No more needles. No more needles." Gohan kept on shouting no more needles over and over again. Goku tried to calm him down, but Gohan did not let him touch him. Gohan had his hands over his head and shook violently. Goku could not do a thing, and nor could anyone else that ran in the room. They all watched as Gohan transformed into a Super Saiyan and then back to a regular Saiyan. He couldn't control his powers and no one had a clue what to do. They shut the door and let him scream in the dark. Days have passed and everyone stood away from Gohan. Bulma would go in once a day to give Gohan some fresh food and water. Every day, Gohan would watch her closely to make sure she wouldn't try to sneak in a needle while he slept. He was eating and pushed aside the pills that Bulma tried to hide. He somehow cleaned himself and got into a new blue guy his mother dropped off. He hasn't seen her in days. Gohan watched as Bulma brought out some food for him. The portions were still the same, and Gohan would eat all of his food. He only ate once a day and that's all he really needed to survive. But he always watched who came in and who came out. It was only Bulma since Gohan grew afraid of his father. Gohan could not trust his father because he tried to give him something he feared. Bulma put the food next to Gohan with a smile on her face. Gohan did not smile back but only watched as Bulma put the food next to his bed. "It's your favorite," Bulma said, placing a glass of water next to him. "Banana bread. There was more from the last batch and it's still good. Wanna try the needle?" Gohan placed his hand on his shoulder as a no response. Bulma nodded. "I guess you still need some time. At least you're back to your senses, but I also noticed that you haven't used the bathroom. It's been days, Gohan. I can't even hold it in for days." Gohan only stared at Bulma and a quick glance at the banana bread. He looked back at Bulma and watched her every move. When her back was turned, he threw the banana on the floor and the glass of water also. Bulma quickly turned around from the loud clash and noticed the mess beside Gohan's bed. He only stared at her and knew the attempt that she tried to pull. Hiding crumbled pill in the banana bread and water. He was not going to fall for the simple trick. "I knew Kai made you too smart for your own good," Bulma said, walking over to the mess. Gohan still watched her like a cat on a mouse. "You still have those injections in your body, Gohan. We just need to take a blood sample to see what's inside your body, and since you haven't let out any waste, it's still in there. We tried knocking you out to get that blood sample, but you wouldn't let us. Please, Gohan, let us take your blood sample." Gohan grasped his hand on his arm and squeezed tightly. He watched her clean up the mess and she did notice the body language that Gohan was sending out. Bulma sighed in defeat as the mess was thrown away. Bulma nodded and left the room. She shut the door behind her and Gohan calmed down a bit. He heard the door open a few minutes and cast his glance on the new person walking in. His eyes went wide when he saw that it was his father. Gohan pressed his body up against the wall as if Goku was going to attack him. Goku saw this reaction but sat down next to the door. He didn't say anything and only gave a short glance to Gohan. He was only going to sit there and do nothing. Gohan didn't think that and kept his body firmly against the wall. Gohan did not trust his father and he wasn't going to trust him now. Goku knew that Gohan was afraid of him. He had to take his time with his son and take baby steps to gain Gohan's trust back. So sitting away from his son and being in the same room should help a bit. Hopefully Gohan will pry his body away from the wall and be relaxed with his father. Goku only hoped, but Gohan was still terrified. "I'm just going to sit here for an hour," Goku said, not looking up at his son. "I'm going to leave and then come back in another hour. I will not touch you, I will not get near you, and this is the only time I will be speaking to you. I just want your trust back." Goku looked up at Gohan and sighed. Gohan did calm down but kept his eye on his father. He did not trust him and trust was a big part in any relationship. 15 minutes passed and Gohan did not move. Goku was getting bored but remembered that he had to stay in the same spot for another half an hour. He couldn't move or else Gohan would have another panic attack. But Goku couldn't be still anymore. He had to do something so he wouldn't go crazy. "You're going to have to make up a lot of schoolwork," Goku said, looking at Gohan. He only stared back. "I know I said that I wouldn't talk, but I can't keep still. We just want to help you, Gohan. Maybe if you tell me what Dr. Igeki did to you then maybe we can help you out." Gohan only stared at his father. He didn't look like he was in the mood to talk, but he did say a few words that Goku regretted answering. "What happened to him?" Gohan turned his head away from his father. Part of him knew the answer, but the other part wanted to tell him that it was wrong. Goku looked down at the ground before speaking. "You killed him," Goku said. "The way he killed." Gohan shut his eyes and nodded his head. He opened his eyes and stared at the wall in front of him. "So I killed him," Gohan said in a question. Goku nodded, but Gohan didn't see. "The way he killed." "Yes," Goku said, looking up. "You couldn't control it. You were a monster. And you injected something in me that cured me," Gohan said, angered. Goku looked puzzled. Wouldn't Gohan be happy knowing that he was no longer a monster? Why was he mad? Goku's answer was soon answered. "What you injected might have cured me, but I can't function. I can barely walk around unless I dragged my body. I can't get rid of waste." Gohan glared at his father. "I would have only been a monster for a few more minutes. I had too many injections of Xtuian and that shortened the time of the transformation." Gohan shut his eyes. "What's Xtuian?" Goku asked. "Something that a normal human can't handle unless he killed himself. It was pain you never felt before in your life. I suffered for days. We tried to rescue you for days, Gohan. We couldn't sense your Kai and we had problems trying to track you down. We wanted to save you earlier but..." "I don't want to hear excuses," Gohan said with his back on the wall. His eyes were still shut. "You don't know what I had to go through." Gohan opened his eyes. There were tears at the corner of his eyes. It hurt too much. "Gohan." Goku was too afraid to walk up to his son. His son was strong and rarely cried. When he was a child he was a crybaby, but Piccolo changed that. He has grown within the years and the pain that he had was something Goku could never feel. Gathering the courage, Goku walked up to Gohan and sat down on the bed that Gohan was on. Gohan didn't move and didn't make much room for his father. Goku sat on the edge and placed his hand on Gohan's shoulder. "I'm sorry Gohan," Goku said. "I don't want your pity," Gohan growled, shrugging his shoulder to get Goku's hand off. "I don't need pity." "What do you need Gohan?" "I want." Gohan shut his eyes. A single tear fell down his cheek, but it quickly disappeared as it fell down his face. Goku tried to put his hand on his shoulder, but knew that Gohan would just shrug it off. Gohan curled up in a ball with his head in his knees. I want. I don't know what I want." "How about some banana bread without the pills?" Goku joked. That didn't crack a smile. "There has to be something that you want Gohan. Do you want to be better? Do you want to be alone? Do you want to be normal?" "I want." "Want what?" I don't know." "There's something you want Gohan," Goku said in a bit of a shout. "I know it, I can see it. What do you want Gohan?" "I want." "What Gohan?" "I want." "Tell me." "I want." Gohan began to shake. His fingers brushed through his hair. I want. I want. I want. "You want something Gohan," Goku now shouted. "You want freedom. You want independence. What do you want?" "I don't know." "You want something if you're saying I want." "I want." "What?" "I want to be healed." Gohan shouted. His body didn't stop trembling and his eyes were dilated. He buried his head in his knees, but his fingers remained in his hair. Goku stared at Gohan like Gohan stared at him. "Stop shaking." Gohan did. His head appeared out from his knees and stared at his father. "Let us help you heal. You have to do what we say so we can heal your wounds inside of you. If you don't let us then you will never be healed. You have to be strong." "I can't," Gohan whispered. "Yes you can Gohan," Goku said sternly. "If you can trust me Gohan then you can conquer what you fear. Please Gohan." Gohan looked his father right in the eyes. "I want to heal Dad but no more needles." Goku found a slight problem. In order to check out Gohan's blood sample they had to drain it from a needle. Gohan's body was still bruised and Goku had to talk to Bulma about it. "I can't promise needles," Goku said. "But I can." "No more needles," Gohan repeated. Goku smiled at Gohan. "No more needles." Then Goku promised Gohan no more needles. Bulma looked at the blood sample through her microscope and jotted down a few notes. Gohan had many things in his bloodstream and she couldn't identify them. Only Dr. Igeki knew what it was, but Bulma didn't have a clue. She was in another lab because Gohan destroyed the other one. He was still in there and going crazy. They had to leave him alone, but she could still hear the destruction in the other room. Vegeta was in the same room with Bulma just in case Gohan destroyed the room next door and attacked his mate. He was not letting some half-breed hurt his mate. Bulma sighed as she pulled her eyes back from the eyepiece from the microscope. She rubbed her temples and looked at Vegeta. Her eyes showed her tiredness and the lack of sleep she was getting. "I don't know what he has," Bulma said in a tired voice. "I can't identify what's in his bloodstream." "So how are we going to get it out of him?" Vegeta asked with his back pressed up against the wall. "He's not going to like it." Vegeta nodded. The destruction was still going in the background and Vegeta turned to the next room. "It evolves a needle, doesn't it? The only way we can get most of the stuff out of his system is to make him bring it back up again," Bulma said sitting down in a chair. "It's still in him. Unless he get rid of his waste then he might have a better chance of getting better." "So making him vomit will help?" Vegeta asked. Bulma nodded. "Good luck." "What do you mean?" "That doctor did the same thing to him and Gohan kept it all in. He knows how to keep it all down and I doubt that he'll want to go through it again. He's crazy enough as it is." "Then what can we do?" Bulma looked up at Vegeta for answers, but he couldn't think of any. Gohan was not going to trust anybody and there was no way he wanted anything in his body. Bulma sighed as she got up from her chair. The noise next door was gone and Bulma looked at Vegeta. "I'll check," Vegeta said reading Bulma's mind. She smiled at Vegeta as he left the room to go see if Gohan was okay. Vegeta looked through the window and saw that the room was a total mess. The lights were out, test tubes were destroyed, and the mess was unbearable. Gohan could have killed somebody and wouldn't be able to find the body for days. Vegeta slowly opened the door and the light from the hallway brought some light into the room. He couldn't find Gohan, but a few steps and a shadow in the corner showed the Saiyan that he was looking for. Some of the light showed Gohan and showed him curled up in a ball. Gohan lifted up his head when he saw Vegeta approach. "I didn't mean to," Gohan whispered. Vegeta bent down and blinked. "We have another lab," Vegeta said. "Not the lab." Vegeta was confused and looked where Gohan was looking. On the floor was an empty needle and Vegeta looked back up at Gohan. "What was it?" Vegeta asked. Gohan looked at his arm. Vegeta saw the trail of blood flowing down Gohan's arm. Gohan put his head between his knees. "I dunno," Gohan answered after a while. "But I don't feel so good." Goku held Gohan upright and Bulma held a budget in between Gohan's legs. The needle that Gohan pierced himself was making him throw up and Bulma could ask for a better accident. It was helping flush all nasty stuff out of his veins, an added bonus, and the food that was sticking around in Gohan's stomach. Gohan wasn't having much fun. Goku, like Bulma, was pleased that some of the stuff Dr. Igeki gave him was finally getting out. Not the best exit, but it was helping Gohan all the way. Gohan may have not known it, but everyone else did. Even though Gohan was puking out his guts out, he was starting to feel better himself. The accident of the needle was helping him. But what the others were wondering was why Gohan injected himself with something he was afraid of. Gohan stopped his heaving and caught his breath. He knew more was coming, but it took a while to reach the exit. Goku smiled and patted his son on the back. "See, this isn't bad now, is it?" Goku said. Gohan glared at his father. "At least you're getting it out of your system." "I hate you," Gohan said. "You hate me now, but when you get better you'll love me again." "I agree with the brat," Vegeta said. "I hate you too." "Vegeta. Goku, we all are going to hate you if you make Gohan puke on my bed," Bulma cried. "Now get his head in the budget." Goku was quick to react. Since the lab was destroyed and Vegeta didn't want to get his GRMS, they had to move Gohan to the bedroom. Sure, the other lab was perfectly fine, but they were afraid that Gohan might panic with all the needles around him and throw them at people. That's what Goten said and he had a point. Vegeta didn't want to get hit with a needle and there was no way Goku was going to be near one. "I know the chapter was short, but there is one more left. Dr. Igeki is from Yu Yu Hashiko SP. But the name did sound wicked cool, pardon, Mondo cool. Sailor Moon says wicked cool and this is a deep easy fic. Oh well." After a few days of bed rest and a week off of school, Gohan was close to normal as he could possibly be. He was still shaking at times and attacking Goku because he would chase Gohan with needles. Vegeta started it and Goku thought it would be fun. The fun stopped when Gohan grabbed the needle and aimed it for Goku's neck. Goku stopped chasing Gohan after that. Saiyan was back in crime fighting and Gohan went back to school. He was not happy about school and when he came home he had lots of homework to make up. He got it done within a few days and turned it in. He was happy he was no longer going through what he was going through before and Videl was a big support. Gohan came home late one night and answered no questions. Goku knew what he did and so did Kai Kai, but that's going too far in the story. Bulma was a bit unsure of Gohan's condition and knew that there were some traces of unwanted fluid in Gohan's body. Like mentioned before, he would still shake and get a bit delusional. Seeing spots in the classroom wasn't exactly healthy and passing out at the dinner table wasn't good either. "In good time, he will heal," Bulma said to Goku. "It's still in his veins and who knows how long it may still be in there. Just be careful around him and stop chasing him with needles. He's a nervous wreck already and you chasing him with needles is not working." "I stopped," Goku said, putting his hands up for defense. "He tried to kill me with a needle and so I stopped. I know it wasn't a good idea, but Vegeta made it fun." "Vegeta, I understand, but Gohan's your own son. Why are you chasing him with things that you are afraid of yourself?" "It looked fun." "It wasn't fun," Gohan said, rubbing his arm. "I thought maybe if I stabbed you with a needle then maybe you'll stop chasing me. I aimed for the neck so then maybe you won't be able to speak." "Thanks Gohan," Goku mumbled. "You should have aimed for the brain," Bulma said. "He has extra room for anything. He never uses his brain anyway." "You would be a bad experiment in Dr. Igeki's eyes," Gohan said, still rubbing his arm. "I can still feel the needles going through my skin. Not a great feeling." "Well, Dr. Igeki is dead now," Goku said, stretching his arms. "We don't have to worry about him anymore." "What was it like, Gohan?" Gohan remained silent. "Goku, you know Gohan doesn't like talking about it," Bulma said. "Whatever happened to him wasn't good. He's better now and that's all that really matters. When Gohan's ready to tell his story then he'll tell it." "I guess," Goku said with a sigh. "I'm just so curious. I want to know what happened." "You really don't want to know," Gohan said, rubbing his arm. "It's better off if you never knew. Just trust me on that, okay?" "It can't be that bad," Bulma said. "You're a Saiyan for Kami's sake. Your blood can protect you from the deadliest diseases known to man." "They're not diseases, Bulma." "Then what is it?" "It's testing," Gohan said as he grasped his arm tight. "Dr. Igeki tested my strength and wanted to see how my human and Saiyan blood fight against things that went into my body. Sometimes they couldn't fight it because it was too strong for both kinds of blood. One would be used to it and the other wouldn't. Dr. Igeki noted that theory and tried to find something both of the bloods can agree on." "Did he find anything?" Bulma asked. "No, but he did like to use XTUian a lot. Goku mentioned that to me before." "What is it?" "What it does is shock my nerves and shut them down. It then sends its own nerves into my body and burns it inside. It attacks everywhere and too much at one time can drive anyone insane." Dr. Ijigaki made my body numb, but the nerves in the exterior still had effect. So you were just lying there taking in the pain, Goku asked with concern. How did he do that to you? Pinned me down. I couldn't escape and the needles kept on coming. Gohan rubbed his arm. But it wasn't needles he was using on me. He shocked me with lightning to see how my body can protect itself from the shock. I was still strong, but my body soon grew weak. I didn't care what was going through my body, and I let the needles pierce through my skin. I can't remember what they did to my body, but I do remember one. He called it Theory of a Deadman, like the band. It was made from his own father's blood. He mixed it up with Exteuian and something called Monteriasios. It instantly killed rats and other animals he used it on. He was afraid to use it on me because I could have died just as fast. He wanted to keep me just a bit longer, but he was so desperate to use it. It drove me crazy. My body was in pain and I felt so sick to my stomach. My head was pounding and blood came pouring out of my mouth. The blood wasn't red, it was green just like Dr. Ijigaki's blood. I could taste the rotting blood from his father, and the pain from the Exteuian wasn't making me feel any better. The Monteriasios made me want to kill something or someone. I was tempted to kill myself, but I had nothing to use against myself. Dr. Ijigaki saw my urge to kill and made me kill some of his rats and other animals. I couldn't control myself, but killing felt so good in my hands. He used it once again when I turned into that monster. That urge to kill was flowing through my veins, and I wanted to kill Dr. Ijigaki like he killed his other subjects. I didn't want to, but it felt so good to kill him with my bare hands. I can still feel it in my blood. The Saiyan blood must love it, Bulma said slowly backing away. Do you still feel like you want to kill? Not anymore, Gohan said. The Saiyan blood and human blood fought it and it disappeared within my body. It's probably out by now. So you won't go out and kill, will you? Goku asked. No, Gohan said with a sigh. I should be fine now. If not now, then I will one day. It takes time to heal and I still need to heal. I'll be okay, you'll see. I bet most of you are thinking, will there be a squeal? I can't answer that now. I lost someone very close to me and this is the first time I lost someone that I loved so dearly. You can bet that there will be an angst fic out soon. Well anyways, please review and make me happy. The end.